Please, my name is Daniela Kudbila. I'm second year computer engineering.
Daniel
Daniela Kudbila.
Kudbila.
Akudbila.
Okay, you are the one who just sent it this morning.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, God, I have a good memory. I like that. Second year
Computer engineering.
computer engineering.
Yeah, and I'm here to make myself better.
Make yourself better.
Yeah.
Jesus. So you are sick.
Well, in knowledge, so
You are sick in knowledge.
yes.
Don't worry. This is before. And this is before. There will be an after. After you will not be saying some of these things. Anyways, yes, sir.
All right. My name is Godwin Makafui Kublenu.
My name is Godwin. I think he parked some Land Cruiser at the back there. He's talking like he's rolling some 5 car keys. Yeah.
Okay, I'm a second year land economy student.
Land economy student.
Yes, ma'am.
Second year.
I expect to get some level of confidence so that I will be able to speak on behalf.
On top of all these things you are doing, you want more confidence. And you bully people. You bully them.
So that at least I'll be able to speak more on behalf of my community
Okay.
and the continent of Africa. So, you know.
You can see the politicians from Guinea. You want to go in that direction. Sweetheart. Yes. I remember the day I met her at the library area. It was there. She saw how stressful organizing something like this was. Because of this program, I'm going bald already. I have to go and shave everything. Yes.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Eunice Na Odali Lamte,
Yes, I remember you.
a fourth year land economy student.
Okay.
There is power in utterance, okay? And I'm here to gain this power. And secondly, to gain this power to dominate speech or public speaking. Thank you.
See, there's a difference. What feel you on? Oh my God! This is part of the training. It's yes. Eunice is here too. I like the way some of you say I'm here to gain knowledge. I'm here. You see how she started it. It's not the conventional way. We have the conventional way of speech. It says, my name is Roland. That same my name is that you said. Somebody will just say, Roland Jansen is my name. Somebody will call it, say, I respond to Roland. Do you understand? Many ways of still the same my name is Roland Jansen, but in different ways of introducing himself. Oh, do you know what I'm talking about? Last two. Yes. Any of you?
Hello,
Yes,
good morning.
microphone.
I'm Zion Bonzo.
Yes, I'm Bozo.
Yeah, Zion
how are you?
Bonzo. Second year Trial Science student. I'm reading Trial Science. Yeah.
Science.
For the past years, I've been studying or reading books about public speaking. So when I got to know of this, I thought it twice that I have to come here to know how to put these things into practice or know how to gather things or how to do things. That's why I'm here today.
Good. After I'll tell you my general observations, then we'll go to the videos and we'll start the whole training. Most people will come late, but they will miss out. Last year, for instance, we made the best part, the first part, where Dr. Ellis came to teach at the first part. Those who came late after 10 all lost that part. So, yes, your name.
Okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
Delinda Obin Inketia. Delinda is my name, and I am a final year disability and rehabilitation student.
Okay.
Well, I believe that I've been called to influence life through public speaking, and I am here for proper training. Thank you.
I like that. Now, these are the general observations. Some of you, when you're talking, you realize you have confidence issues. Some of you have pitch issues. You have expressions issues. In fact, you are an embodiment of public speaking failure. Do you get what I'm talking about? Like you are not ready to be publicly exposed. So now you know the flaws you've gathered. So now with the flaws we've identified, make sure you get yourself out of those flaws before we finish the training. These are the trainings. We added even one. This guy is coming from Accra. The 2017, those who were in the Brandon class. You remember the guy, the David guy. Okay, when he comes back, the 2017, he came to teach on Brandon. But he's coming again. I will handle non-verbal communication skills. I'm thinking between handling it first, but that one is very important. So I don't know if I will push it to the last part when we're about to close. And then there is the act of impromptu. The one handling the act of impromptu has been the African best speaker for a while now. African best speaker. And then your moderator. So I'm going to get off stage and introduce the host for you guys, and they will take over every other section. Are we on the same page? So we're going to watch some few videos after we calm down and all that. So if you want to move around. We just have some few minutes. So just do those things quickly, and then we start as soon as possible. Are we on the same page? But these are the outlines of the things you're going to engage in. Audience engagement and analysis. Overcoming public speaking fears and pitfalls. Some of you will come and stand here and give us an impromptu speech after we do the impromptu this thing. So we'll throw in a random topic, okay, about the Brexit. So just come and tell us the impact of Brexit on Africa. And then we expect you to think on the spot. That's where the act of impromptu comes in. You have to think on the spot, prepare a speech on the spot, and deliver it on the spot while standing on the stage. Do you get the point? That's where the act of impromptu is the ability to groom, is your ability to be resourceful anytime a demand is placed on you, on any topic, on any platform. So they will show you the skills in doing that. Okay? I'm just doing an introduction to all the courses. Now the non-verbal communication is your gestures, posture. Do you get those non-verbal communication skills? And it's very important. That section is one of the most interesting sections. PowerPoint presentation design and skills. I'll handle that equally. It's a great skill. If you don't know how to design your PowerPoint, it's a failure in the first place. I'll tell you the history about that. Vocal training, Michael is here already. We'll start the vocal training as soon as possible. And like I told you, even if nobody comes again, this number is enough for us to do a good job, a very good job. So it means we would have to, last time there were so plenty, we had to group them in groups and you run in shift. But with a few number, we can move all of you through all the trainings, all the practicals, and then we would have one-on-one time with it. But don't pray that nobody comes again, please. It's a bad prayer. But we'll still have one-on-one experience with all of you. Do you get it? All right. And then the speech and proposal writing. They'll show you, these debaters have a way of writing, and instantly they write a speech or whatever, their arguments. And then proposals. How do we write proposals? If you're a leader, you want to pitch idea, you want to do something, how do you go about all this proposal stuff and all that? So we would also learn about that. There's another course we are going to do. That's on principle-centered leadership. Let's say 360 leader. That one is going to be handled by a Nigerian, Mr. John Ebobo. He's an author, and he's equally on his way coming. Most of our speakers are coming from Accra. Forgive their lateness, but they are going to be here in a split second. So I would invite the host, Madam Hillary, and Mr. Francois, they've been hosting this event for God knows how long. Yeah. Especially Mr. Francois from the day one. Okay, day one you were a participant, but the second time you were a host, and now you are into SRC things. It's beautiful. So we'll go and set the videos running. Okay, so he would engage you small whilst I set the videos running. And when it's time, the first speaker will come up. We would introduce the first speaker, and then we'll start work as soon as possible. But please, if you are here, you've not paid. We'll still go around. We need our money. And there's a lady outside. So we'll still need the money, so we'll come and take it. Thank you. Pardon? Yes. Kemo, he doesn't need an introduction. He's my personal person. He's my personal person. But I'm privileged to have one of the wonderful young women who we started this business together. She's been through the ranks of leadership, and she's helping Kemo organize this. Let's give it up for Hillary. Whilst Hillary joins Mr. Kemo in doing a good job. I'll come back.
Hello.
Thank you very much, Roland. Good morning to you all. I hope you're all doing well and you're all geared up for today's program. I want to hear your responses. I want to get interactive with you also. When I ask a question, I would like you to kindly say yes or no. Okay? Okay, so, and keep up smiles on your faces. Let me see that you're excited about today. Okay, so my name is Hillary Nudeji once again, and I'll be emceeing with
My name is Francois Kwesimo. You can call me Kemo. Yeah, and it's very, very wonderful being here this morning. We've all anticipated this program. It was supposed to happen somewhere last week, but then last weekend. But because of certain issues beyond our control, we had to push it today. And quite unfortunate, you can't hear me. Whoa. Quite unfortunate, the people we're expecting to come are still delaying, but we'll still catch that as soon as possible because we can't wait for everybody. I'd like to ask a question. What do you think about public speaking? Is it an act or an art? Any volunteer can answer. Is public speaking an act, A-C-T, or an art, A-R-T?
Okay, so I have someone over here. I think she will say something.
Hillary, they can use the microphone. You please tell me your name before you answer, okay, so that I'll get to know you as time goes on. Yeah.
My name is Delinda Obin Kitia. I think public speaking is an art, A-R-T. Yeah.
Okay, Delinda says public speaking is an art. What do you think? I want more views on that. Go ahead. It's an art. All right, an art. Yeah, she gave me the accent, you know, the art. Yeah. So, yeah, of course, public speaking is an art. Come on.
To me, I think it's an art and at the same time an act. Yes, it goes together.
Yeah. What's your name, please?
Paulinson.
Paulinson.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Paulinson, I like your submission. Could you kindly elaborate when you say public speaking is an act and an art?
You get the art, then you act. Simple.
Okay.
Get the art, then you act. Whoa.
I also think it's an act and an art because we have some people who are very good who when they come to stage, maybe without going through any training, they can just speak very well. And an art because others too can learn it. And if you even have that act, you can perfect it by training. And as far as you can learn something, it becomes an art. Both.
Both. All right.
Okay, thank you very much. I also think that some people are born with a talent. Some others have to learn. That's fine. But everybody born with a talent still has to nurture the talent and get better. If you're born with a talent and you don't nurture the talent, trust me, the person who comes with no talent and learns and is hardworking and pushes will get better than you. You understand? So some of you may be born public speakers, some are about to learn. But trust me, by the time you finish today, if you put your heart into this and you apply yourself to every single thing that you're told, you allow yourself to practice, you allow yourself to take up, because this is not just any seminar where they say, please, who would want to say something, and then everybody will be cowering in their own corner. No. If you want to say something, because you're here to learn the art of public speaking, you would raise your hand, and you will come to the stage, and you overcome the frights, and you will start. And before you know it, you become good, and you get better, and you become the best. You understand me? So today, I want all of you to gear up, brace up, take this role. See, you can be doing, for instance, I myself, I do chemical engineering. So that's my brother here. He does petrochemical engineering. Someone may be into medicine. Someone may be doing law. Some people doing comm design. But public speaking is something that you don't come to school necessarily to learn. Some people can be doing it in school. That's fine. But you need it as part of the things you learn when you come into this life. You understand? So you're in the right place today. So I want all of you to be excited about today. Take up positions, take up questions, take up anything you're asked to do, like volunteer. So after today, if there are any people who wants to answer this question, and then you sit in your own corner, today you're going to stop this. Am I fine? Are we all good with this? Okay, so I like the enthusiasm.
Not cutting Hillary short. I want to tell you something, you know. I was the shy type when I was in, back then in junior high school. I was very shy, though people saw me to be the one who can do, you know, in quotes, what everyone wants to see. Yeah, they appointed me, and I was recommended on various, you know, occasions to take leadership positions or to spearhead a particular project and all. Yeah, I took it as a challenge to make myself better, because growing up, I had this envy for leaders. I really loved to see leaders. I was interested in learning about leaders, most especially the people who were closer to me, like my pastors, my Sunday school teachers, my school teachers, and everyone who spearheaded something. I had this love for that. And then I didn't see myself to be one of them. So every time, the question I always asked myself was, how can I be one of them? How can I be one of them? Because growing up from a small town somewhere in the western region, it's a village actually, and then I wanted to be extraordinary. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be heard. But then my environment didn't give me the necessary, should I say, strength, and then the will to overcome that plight. So I wanted to be in an environment that challenged me to do more. So I pushed to go to a very good high school that would give me the exposure to meet people coming from all walks of life, so we can, you know, I can learn more from people. That was my aim. In high school, I went to a high school that turned my life around. I met so many people coming from different backgrounds, and then I didn't shy myself down. I didn't put myself down, because I went there with people coming from my hood, but then I came out as a better person than them because of my desire, my passion to be extraordinary. So then I'm here today. I even came to this university not as a better person like I am today. And I'm not perfect. I'm still learning, and I'm still pushing forward to get there. You know, I came in first year ahead of this program in first year, and then I wanted to be, it was 60 cities and it was brought down to 30 cities. I didn't have much then, but I just sacrificed my last for this program, and then it was my turning around program. It really taught me a lot. It gave me a lot of skills that I have today, and then I went forward to even vied for the position of my department president, and I think the skills I came to acquire over here went a long way to make me the department president in my speech delivery, in my interpersonal relationship with people, and in branding myself too. You know, you have to also think about how to look as long as your career pursuit is concerned, because you are dressed the way you dress. So it's a whole package. It's a whole package. And then all I'm interested in is becoming a very good version and a better version of myself, so that the people around me will benefit from the influence they get from me. I hope you get what I'm saying. I'm just trying to, you know, enlighten you a little about my motivation, and then I went forward to help people, yes, be like me and even more. Yeah, so you are here today not just because of your interest in coming to listen to speakers speak to you, but I believe you have a passion to also be extraordinary wherever you find yourself, and I bet you are at the right place. So just sit back and relax. activate your hearing skills and your writing skills, and also make your notepad ready, because you are going to get a lot more today. And I would like to welcome you to the 3rd edition of the Masterclass Public Speaking and Presentation Training.
Debate in front of undeclared persuadable voters would produce polite performances.
On government lands is down.
No, it isn't.
Production.
Think again.
In the last 4 years,
At times,
All right, so
this
let's
town
have a look
hall
at
looked
this,
like a
and then
schoolyard brawl.
We'll
Not true,
kickstart
Governor
right
Romney.
after.
so how much did you cut?
Not true.
No, I had a question.
Schoolyard brawl. And
In the last 4 years,
at times, this town hall looked like a schoolyard brawl.
Not true, Governor Romney.
so how much did you cut them
Not
by?
true.
No, I had a
You-
question, and the question was, how much did you cut them
you
by?
want me to answer
How
a
much did you
question?
cut them by?
I'm happy to answer the question.
If memorable debates are about moments, one here was on Libya.
Who was it that denied enhanced security, and why?
It was the question conservatives were waiting for, a chance to slam the president for lax security and changing stories on what prompted last month's deadly Benghazi attack.
And there was no demonstration involved. It was a terrorist attack. But I think you have to ask yourself, why didn't we know 5 days later when the ambassador to the United Nations went on TV to say that this was a demonstration? How could we have not known?
The president threw down the commander-in-chief card.
And the suggestion that anybody in my team, whether Secretary of State, our UN ambassador, anybody on my team would play politics or mislead when we've lost 4 of our own, Governor, is offensive. That's not what we do. That's not what I do as president. That's not what I do as commander-in-chief.
Romney's offensive on national security did not go as planned.
The day after the attack, Governor, I stood in the Rose Garden and I told the American people and the world that we are going to find out exactly what happened, that this was an act of terror.
The president just said something which is that on the day after the attack, he went in the Rose Garden and said that this was an act of terror.
That's what I said.
You said in the Rose Garden, the day after the attack, it was an act of terror.
Get the transcript.
He did, in fact, sir. So let me call it an act of terror.
Can you say that a little louder, Candy?
Throughout this debate, the president tried to make up for the first one. This time he used that 47% attack line.
When he said behind closed doors that 47% of the country considered themselves victims who refused personal responsibility, think about who he was talking about.
And Romney, who dominated the stage in the first debate, was going for a repeat performance.
You'll get your chance in a moment. I'm still speaking.
Well,
And the
Governor,
answer is, I don't believe people
if you're
think that's the
asking me a
case
question,
because
I'm not gonna answer.
that wasn't a question.
Okay.
That was
Go
a
ahead.
statement.
But an attempt to reach the critical female vote may have fallen flat. He answered a question about equal pay with a story about searching for women in his Massachusetts cabinet.
I went to a number of women's groups and said, can you help us find folks? And they brought us whole binders full of women.
Within moments, Romney's binders had its own Twitter handle. The president went after Romney as a flip-flopper.
Governor, when you were governor of Massachusetts, you stood in front of a coal plant and pointed at it and said, this plant kills, and took great pride in shutting it down. And now suddenly you're a big champion of coal.
Romney appeared determined to use his rehearsed lines, even when they were off topic. The question was on immigration, but Romney launched into a defense of his offshore investments with a practiced pivot against the president.
Any investments I have over the last 8 years have been managed by a blind trust. And I understand they do include investments outside the United States, including in Chinese companies. Mr. President, have you looked at your pension? Have you looked at your pension?
I've got to say.
Mr. President, have you looked at your pension?
You know, I don't look at my pension. It's not as big as yours, so it doesn't take as long.
Let me give you some. Let me give you some advice.
I don't check it that often.
Let me give you some advice. Look at your pension. You also have investments in Chinese companies. You also have investments outside.
Now let's move to health care, where I know there is a clear difference, and that has to do with the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and it's a two-minute new segment, and that means 2 minutes.
reboot our auto industry, and unleash the longest stretch of job creation in our history. If I had told you that we would open up a new chapter with Cuban people, shut down Iran's nuclear weapons program without a shot, take the mastermind of 9/11, a shot. It's good to be home. If I had told you 8 years ago that America would reverse a Great Recession, reboot our auto industry, and unleash the longest stretch of job creation in our history, if I had told you that we would open up a new chapter with the Cuban people, shut down Iran's nuclear weapons program without firing a shot, take out the mastermind of 9/11, if I had told you that we would win marriage equality and secure the right to health insurance for another 20 million of our fellow citizens, if I had told you all that, you might have said our sights were set a little too high. But that's what we did. I can't do that. After my election, there was talk of a post-racial America. And such a vision, however well intended, was never realistic. Race remains a potent and often divisive force in our society. If you're tired of arguing with strangers on the internet, try talking with one of them in real life. If you're disappointed by your elected officials, grab a clipboard, get some signatures, and run for office yourself. Show up. Dive in. Stay at it. Sometimes you'll win. Sometimes you'll lose. Michelle LaVaughn Robinson, girl of the South Side. You made the White House a place that belongs to everybody. And the new generation sets its sights higher because it has you as a role model. Malia and Sasha, of all that I've done in my life, I am most proud to be your dad. For too many of us, it's become safer to retreat into our own bubbles, whether in our neighborhoods or on college campuses or places of worship, or especially our social media feeds. Surrounded by people who look like us and share the same political outlook and never challenge our assumptions. And increasingly, we become so secure in our bubbles that we start accepting only information, whether it's true or not, that fits our opinions, instead of basing our opinions on the evidence that is out there. I am asking you to hold fast to that faith written into our founding documents, that idea whispered by slaves and abolitionists, that spirit sung by immigrants and homesteaders and those who marched for justice, that creed reaffirmed by those who planted flags from foreign battlefields to the surface of the moon, a creed at the core of every American whose story is not yet written. Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Yes, we can. Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Did you learn anything from the video you watched? Anyone learned anything? Anyone saw anything of interest? We are here to learn public speaking. I should be seeing hands shooting up into the air and everything. All right, I see this young lady smiling. Can you kindly put your microphone on and tell me something? Yes. Yes, you. Kindly tell me your name too. Thank you.
I'm Abigail. Okay, so from what I saw, I realized that Barack Obama, like, his space was very good, his space, and he took time to explain things.
All right. Thank you very much. We are spearing right into action. And so we'll have our first speaker for the day. I hope you're all geared up. You are ready to listen. So firstly, we are going to have Mr. Michael Ajalo. He's a voice coach and currently a quantity surveyor. So please let's give him an applause as he comes onto the stage to take us briefly. All right. He'll join us shortly.
Hello too. Hi. Good morning. How you guys doing? Okay. My name is Michael Kojo Nyedejelu Jr. I'm a voice coach. I think for this particular event, that's all the information you need to know. You know, I'm single. No kids, but you don't need to know that one either. So, all right. So we just go straight into the presentation. But before we continue, with the way I roll, I like an informal approach to how I do my stuff, no matter where I am. So because of that, you will have to help me. And what will happen is, this will happen. All these breaks, you know, me being shy, very realize I'll just vanished, you know. So I'll need some responses from you. If you want to ask questions, feel free, you know, that kind of thing. All right? All right? Thank you. So let's get into that. So I said I'm Michael. I'm a voice coach. I'm into music. I sing. But today we are not singing, we are talking. So no one should ask me for a freestyle. Yeah. As public speakers, or people who do a lot of talking and so on and so forth, a lot of times it's quite interesting that we seem to forget the particular instruments we are supposed to use. I get my point. We talk about public speakers, how you should dress, how your shoes should be like, your haircut. I mean, generally your appearance. We talk about your content, you know, the PowerPoint presentations, how you should present all those things. But imagine after having everything on point, you get there on that day, and you sound like this because you have lost your voice. I get my point. Doesn't make sense. I remember at the time when the president, former president at the time also, someone was coughing, you know, and it became a huge thing. You know, president coughing, what was that? You know, you talk kind of, it's, please, no matter how much you prepared, if your instrument is not safe, you're done. Okay? So, yeah, that makes us important too, as voice coaches. Anyways, so, it's funny enough, when you go to school, we hardly talk about these things. We teach you how to read, right? And we teach you how to write. But we don't teach you how to speak. Even if we do group presentations and all that, there is no particular session in your class where they go like, this is how you're supposed to do your presentation, do this and that. There's nothing like that. Or have you had something in our class before? Exactly, but it's important. Okay? So I am here to discuss the instrument with you, basically. All right? Which is your voice. Are we okay? I'm going to divide my presentation into 2 parts. Okay? So let's say this is the first part. Are you ready? Are you sure? No one should fall asleep. Fall asleep, I will let the cameraman get you. You go online. Why not? All right, so let's discuss the first thing. Normally, when I meet with my vocal clients, all right, there's one particular thing I discuss with them into detail. And when I discuss that particular issue with you or those principles with you, I don't expect to talk about them again, because I expect that the more I discuss it with you, you put into practice, because those are the basics of everything. If you miss out on any of those things, you have issues. Anyways, how many of us are singers over here? How many of us? I mean, let me put it this way. How many of you have been singing, and when you sing, people go like, oh, come for the mic. Oh, okay, fine. I know some people will sing and they want to mute your mic. I've had situations like that. Once I had a program somewhere on campus when I was in university, and this guy came in like 1 week of rehearsal. We are rehearsing for months. The guy just came in. I didn't pay attention to the guy. Then when we go on stage, I was part of the tenor team. I went to the back. The guy literally sang one note all through all the songs. To explain, if the song is like, how great is our God, sing with me. You get it? It was like, how great is our God. Like, how is this guy? So on that day, I was standing there and the mic was like this and I was smiling. People thought I was too excited for the program, but I was trying hard not to laugh about the whole thing. Anyways, yeah. So anyway, the reason I ask whether they are singers is mostly the singers are the ones that we pay attention to these, are the ones who pay attention to these things. We talk about, we come for rehearsal, you're constantly singing out, and it's all about the voice. But speakers, we hardly do that. So some of the things I might mention, if you're not so sure of the terms, just let me know. You get it, just in case. Because for me, I've been in music for some time. So some things may not necessarily be basic for all of us, but I'm basic for me. But just in case I mention it and I'm not so sure, don't look at me as if you get it. All right? Just it. Anyways, so number 1, as a speaker, I heard someone say speaking or speech is an art. Who said that? You did? Yo, all right, fine. So, yeah, it's an art, all right? Like singing and like in music, and put that way, it's an art. But it's a very, very different kind of art form, in the sense that in this particular art, the instrument and the instrumentalist, or the holder or the user of the instrument, are one. Do you get my point? Art in terms of painting, all right? The canvas and the brush are not part of the person who is painting. Do you get it? So he doesn't walk around and the canvas follows him. Do you get my point? No one is born with a canvas, they go like, oh, he's going to be a painter. There's nothing like that. Do you get it? But when it comes to you, the speaker or the singer, the instrument is you, and you are the instrument, because the instrument is found within you. Okay? So it makes it quite different. And that's why it becomes a little bit dicey to address that particular issue, because you don't see it. It's like your kidney, your liver. If I look at you right now and I say, I want you to shift your liver to the left, can you do it? I want you to just, as you sit there, feel your liver. What's its state? Is it safe? Can you do it? No, I get to my point. So, it's like that. You can't do anything about it. But the artist, in terms of the painter, can look at his canvas and go like, I need to get a new one. You can just look at it. Look at the brush and go like, this thing has really been used. I have to get a new one. But you, as the speaker, the singer, you don't get to do that. Hello? Anyways, the reason I'm making this point is very, very simple. All right. Reason is a healthy artist, as in a speaker, is equal to a healthy instrument. Okay? If you are not healthy as an artist, you're not going to be a healthy speaker for a very long time. And I'm saying this because for some of us, we are constantly using our voice. So we realize that we have to take some extra precaution to get our voices in the right shape forever. But for some of us, some people also don't really use it. Once in a while, they're going to do a speech somewhere. So if you're like that, then that's okay. But if you're going to be like intensive, like a lot of talking and stuff like that, especially when you start, like you get into the corporate world, you always have to do presentations here, how to talk to this person, how to make this presentation here, like that kind of thing. You realize your voice is in constant use. Personally, I'm into construction by day. Okay, so you get to a site and there's so much noise, so many people. And you have to address some issues. Sometimes someone is standing like 5th floor. You are standing on a different platform in a different building. And the person is doing something very, 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 very wrong. You have two options. Run down that building or run up and tell them, like, yo, what you're doing is wrong. Or call the person and like, what you're doing is wrong. Or shout, hey, hey, Jai. Like, stop. You get it? And then when I close from work, I'll have music rehearsal. And the music rehearsal can last for about 4 hours straight. And then the next day, I will have to maybe have a music event or go and speak somewhere or go and teach somewhere. In all those situations, I've learned to not give the excuse that, because of my activities the day before, my voice is not in a very, very good shape. So accept me like that. I've learned not to do that because, for example, if you came for the event and then you come to, like, for example, public speaking event, you come to hear me talk about the voice and then I sound like this. Would you believe what I'm saying? You have paid money to come and sit here and say, your voice is not safe. Start talking. No, I get my point. One thing I've learned about human beings is this. The negatives are very, very easy to communicate and record. The positives are okay because I paid for it. Are you getting it? So if you come for an event and you have a lot of negative showing, they will see it first. So as much as possible, avoid it. Hello? In particular situations, again, let me just move back to singing. In particular situations, you go to a particular gathering, and then someone will go like, I go to church. So you go to a church, and someone will go like, maybe one of their spiritual purpose, go like, my voice is not so nice, so I'll just lift the voice. You know, and it's, it's spiritual. People know his voice is not nice already, so it's fine. You understand? But me, the one who can sing, if I go and pick the mic and I sound like him, they'll go like, you are. Are you getting my point? Hello? So avoid the negatives. Take away the negatives to keep your voice in the right shape at every point in time. Are we okay? Okay. So I was saying that a healthy artist is equal to a healthy instrument. Noted. Which means that the quality of sound to reproduce doesn't only depend on the techniques you use, but it also depends so much on your overall physical well-being. Imagine there was this program happening, and then a mosquito decided to bite me yesterday, and I woke up really feverish today, and I came for the program, and I still have to speak because you have come. How would a presentation go? Are you getting me? So, in essence, I'm telling you that you have to keep your body in order to keep your instrument. Otherwise, what will happen is you're going to try to be a public speaker, but after some time, you lose it. Okay? Hello? Try and respond, okay? All right. So because of that, because you cannot see your vocal folds, all right, sound is produced by vocal folds. That's the instrument. Like, I'll talk about it probably in the next part. Sound produces your vocal fold, but because you can't see your vocal folds, what happens is, if your voice has an issue, okay, there's no status bar on your neck that goes from green to yellow to red. Then go like, oh, that guy has a red. Just go and charge his voice or something. You know, you can't see that, oh, your voice is not in a very safe position. You cannot go like that. Because of that, you have to learn how to listen to your body, because your body will communicate with you about your voice. Are you getting me? So I'm going to state some few things we need to take note of. All right. Number one, how do you know your voice has a problem? When your voice has become hoarse or raspy, and it wasn't like that originally. When you have lost your ability to, say, hit some high notes. Like, at first you could actually even sound like this, but when you try now, you can't. Are you getting me? When your throat feels raw or achy or strained. When it becomes, you have to put in some effort to speak. When you find yourself coughing or grunting in order to clear your throat. Like, every second you're like, because you have phlegms or something, or especially, that is not a good thing, actually. So anyways, if you find any of these signs, you have to learn how to, you have to learn how to take note of these signs and find remedies for them. Okay? Because these are the only ways your voice is going to communicate to you. There's no other way. Like, I'm talking, and then all you hear is, your voice is about to die. There's something like that. If I'm talking, I'm feeling a bit sore over here. I'm like, okay, there's something wrong with my voice. I need to get it corrected. Hello? All right. So let's move on. Personally, I've found the number one cause of problems to be vocal problems is to be voice misuse or voice overuse. I don't know how to separate or put those two together. But misuse sort of links to overuse. I'm very, very cautious about that, again, because of my workplace. If I have to communicate to someone, I have learned no matter what to walk to that person and talk to that person like the way I'm talking to you. I wouldn't stand so many meters away and shout. That's out of the question for me. Or if I think the person is too far away, I'll call somebody who's close to a person to give the phone to that person to talk to that person. Or if I'm in a very, very noisy, basically if you're a very, very noisy place, you have to walk to that person and speak directly into their ear, or call that person away from that place to have the discussion I want to have with that person. Because if I don't do any of these things, and then I come and I'm talking really loud, trying to have a conversation, all right, I'm shouting, it becomes an overuse, which can also mean a misuse. And these things done a lot, often, will lead to voice problems. There are other factors though, all right? I'll teach you how to avoid them so you don't have any issues. And for example, being in a very, very dusty environment like I heard you say, that please. Anyways, so let's move to the simple right things you can do, all right? Are we all here? Are we all here? All right, fine. The simple right things you can do. Number one, you need to stay hydrated. Water is my friend for me. Like, I drink water some. That's me. Some people say 8 glasses a day. Some people say 6 glasses a day. For me, I know that I don't have to wait to be thirsty to drink water. I just find water at every point in time and I drink it. Sometimes I think for quite some time now, I've had a daily goal of having maybe 1 big bottle of water finished by the end of the day. Sometimes it's 2. It's not like I sweat a lot or anything, but it's just a thing I do to make sure that my voice is constantly hydrated. Okay. Someone may ask, is cold water good for the voice? I would say that it's not the best. Okay. But sometimes the nation is just too hot. Like recently, and you really want to take that water from the fridge and drink it. I would advise you to go on ahead and drink it before you die. But on a more serious note, if you have an event like this, if you have to do a lot of talking in a particular place, avoid it, no matter how hot you are. Do you understand? For me, I know that I'm constantly talking in the very, I talk almost all day. When I close from work, I go to another place and I'm teaching. I close at 9 p.m., close at 10 p.m. before I go home and rest. So for me, cold water is out totally. Unless I have to relax, then I would go in for cold water. On a day that, I don't have any major vocal stuff to do. I'm saying this because cold water constricts the vocal folds. It constricts the vocal folds, which means that it doesn't help the vocal folds to work as much as they should. So if you decide to constrict the vocal fold and then try to put it to work, it's not a very good practice. Do you understand? It's like calling you out here and dumping this weight on you and go like, run. No, it's not going to work. It's just unnecessary stress, unnecessary strain on your vocal folds. Hello? So good. If you want to take cold water, take it. But if you have an event, if you have to do a lot of talking, if you have to go and teach, if you have to discuss things with a lot of people, don't do it. You can do it afterwards. Okay? It's very important. This particular principle is something that a lot of people ignore, especially here, because it's hot and you want to drink cold water. It's fine. But I would say that some things have a long-term effect. Long-term means you don't see it now. You don't drink cold water and then go like, my voice is frozen. You don't do that. Do you get it? But that's continuous practice. Okay? After some time, we'll begin to show its effect. The sad part of it is long-term effects, when they are revealed, are very, very difficult to reverse. So you meet some older people, when they are talking, it's like their voices are never clear. Their voices are always tired. And it's not like they were in the stadium shouting, yeah, every time. But sometimes because of some of these simple principles that they decide to ignore. Okay? So when I learned this, like some of these principles, and I started putting them into practice, there's hardly a day I would do massive, like intense vocal activity, and I'll lose my voice. Mind you, losing your voice is not an option. Losing your voice is not normal. I'm saying it's not normal because your vocal folds are a muscle like every other muscle in your body. Imagine you go and work out, all right? You go and do some push-ups, you go and do some squats. Let me use squats. Since girls and guys here, you're going to do some squats, and then after doing the squats, you can't feel your legs. Is it normal? No, my legs are not moving. It's not normal. Do you understand? So it's not normal for you to do a lot of talking, have a lot of discussions, and then the next day you come and go like, I've lost my voice. It means that there's been this serious amount of strain on it. And that should be avoided by some of these simple principles. Okay, so staying hydrated is key, and it helps you like move away from all that. Are we okay? Now remember, the point I used was stay hydrated, which means that you should avoid any other thing that dehydrates you or reverses dehydration. Okay, so something like alcohol or anything that contains alcohol would make you want to drink more water. Anything that makes you thirsty is basically anything that dehydrates you. All right. So when you drink alcohol or you take anything that contains alcohol, like mouthwash, it makes you feel like you want more water. You get it. Yeah. And then there's also caffeine. Anything that contains caffeine. It doesn't necessarily have to be coffee, but these carbonated drinks that contain caffeine, they make you want to drink water, which means that they are dehydrating you. So you don't take a lot of water, go and take a caffeine, like something that contains caffeine, and then think you're fine. It's like you have started a process and reversed the process. It's like putting on a fridge, freezing it, and then opening the door and expecting your food stuff to be cool. I guess my point. It doesn't work that way. Chocolate. That particular point. You should have seen some of the face of you should have seen some of the face of the people here. Chocolate dehydrates you. It's accepted, all right? When you're taking chocolate, it makes you want to drink water sometimes, which means that it has a dehydrating effect. So avoid it. If you have a lot of talking to do, okay? It's very, very important. Chocolate. And then large doses of vitamin C. I didn't say vitamin C. I said large doses of vitamin C. Okay? I'm just saying. All right, so that's for point number 1. You need to stay hydrated. Point number 2, you need to warm up your voice every day. Every single day, you need to warm up. Every day. It should be your thing. You need to wake up every morning and then warm up before you step out to do any major activity. It's key. Every day. Warm up. Every day. There was a time I had a vocal damage. I used to be an alto singer. That's like a guy with a very, very wide range and hit some really, really high notes on his chest voice. And then one time I was excessive. I was teaching here, I was doing this, I was doing that. And then one time I had this serious cold. And when I had the cold, I lost my voice for about 2 weeks. And then when my voice had supposedly come back, I was like all the way below tenor, like a baritone singer. Which means that I dropped from alto, tenor to baritone. So what happened was, I realized that I had to recover my voice in order to stay efficient. So, some of these things are what helped me. I'll wake up every morning and I'll do something like this. Huh? 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 If I can't do any of these 2 notes, all right, then it means that there's a problem somewhere. First, I'll wake up and I'll like, you know, guys, when you wake up, they have this romantic, deep voice that they used to make phone calls sometimes, you know. I wake up in the morning and I have this voice. And people call me, especially when I wake up late, and my boss calls me. Mike, where are you? I'm trying to say, I'm coming. But I sound like, say, I'm coming. It's not even helping, man. So the moment I started to warm up, like I started the journey of warming up every day, I can wake up and have this voice actually. Do you know why? Warming up in itself is an exercise on your vocal folds. As I said, your vocal folds are a muscle. Do you understand? Now, you go to the gym, you're right, you get people who are trying to balance, you know, they are lifting weights. Some guy will go, is as slim as I am. You get it? He goes, he lifts 5K, 10K, you know, gradually. As he's lifting, you realize that his body is building up. Do you understand? So, when he, at some time, when he walks into the gym, he doesn't have to go and start from 5K again. 5 kg. You understand? He can just go straight to 10 kg or go straight to 15 kg because his body has been trained to do that. You understand? But as a matter of procedure to keep his muscles, you probably start from something simple and build up to that point. So what I'm saying is, if you are constantly warming up every day, it simply means that you're getting your voice ready to work at any point in time. So any other day you wake up and you have the voice ready to work. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't warm up because your voice is fine. Hello? I get what I'm saying. It's very important. So warm up just makes your voice ready to work. And when your voice is always ready to work, it cannot be easily damaged. You cannot easily lose your voice. That's how important warm up is. Maybe later I'll take you through some warm up exercises. But that's point number 2. You need to warm up every day. All right? Then point number 3, you need to rest your body. Remember I said that a healthy instrument is equal, a healthy artist is equal to a healthy instrument, which means that a tired artist is equal to a tired instrument. And I mean, if if the whole day I'm seated like you get it? I'm relaxing. I'm not doing anything major. I'm just seated. not doing much. The whole day. Oh no, let me reverse that. If the whole day, like, I'm really active, but I'm not using my voice to do a lot of work, you get it? I'm probably like studying, I am doing a lot of calculations here and there. I have to move around, buy some few stuff, but I don't necessarily talk a lot. Okay? And then at 10 p.m., or say 9 p.m. or 8 p.m., all right, now I have to do some major activities. Because my voice is tired in itself, because my body is tired in itself, my voice will also be tired. It's a funny way, like, it just happens. Because your voice is a part of you. Hello? Because your voice is a part of you. So you need to learn how to rest your body before you have any major event. And the ultimate form of rest is sleep. That one there. It is sleep. You need to sleep. When you're tired, you sleep. Okay? Now, there are certain times when you may not necessarily have the chance to rest, because of different schedules and all that. So I said, on those particular days, learn how to reduce the use of your voice. Do you understand? Learn how to reduce the use of your voice on those particular days. Like, on those particular days, you not see me talking a lot to a lot of people. No, if I have a lot of things to do with my voice on a particular day, particular event, after today, after this morning session, we will close in the afternoon. In the evening, I have another session, a very, very long session at Great Hall. Very long session, like from 6 to 10 p.m. I'll constantly be on stage like that. So when I close from here, I'm not saying don't come and talk to me, you can talk to me. But when I move, I have to go back to the office. When I go back to the office, I'm not going to like, hey, sir. No, I'm going to straight sit down and focus on what I need to do and relax. Then when I close from work, I go to Great Hall and we start the event. When we start the event, I'm not going to talk unnecessarily. I put in place all those things, all the things I need to say before the event's day. Hello. So rest of your body and your voice is key. Don't have a lot of things to do and then be so active, doing so many things. And after that, you want to apply the same amount of energy into the vocal activity. It doesn't help. Okay? All right. So moving on to the fourth point, which has to do with diet. For diet, per my experience and observation, I advise you to eat anything you want to eat. Feel free. Okay? Feel free. I'm not going to tell you banku is bad, fufu is not good for your voice. If you eat fufu and you get on stage, you see what happened to you. Do you know when I learned that lesson? At first, if I have an event like this, I'm one of those people that when I'm hungry, I'm hyper. But the moment I eat, I slow down. Like, I don't know how, I don't know why, because it's supposed to be more fuel, more energy, right? And then that's what I thought, anyways. So because of that, for a very long time, every time I have an event, eating is like out of the, I don't even think about it. I just go on, make sure that, this is in place, that's in place, that's in place. The program requires in the evening, but I'll not eat the whole day to the evening. And then when when we have finished the program, then I'll probably take something simple and then sleep. Then the next morning, somebody say the next morning, I will go down on that place like never before. You get it? But one day, I had this turnaround in my life. I was standing on stage. We were backing a whole lot of artists. I've forgotten, I think it was like OJ or something. And then we were singing. Then my tummy began to cry out. It was like, yo, bro. Yo, I'm hungry. Like, you got to feed me. That kind of thing. And then at the same time, there was this lady doing popcorn outside the event. Like, the event was going on. Like, we were like, yay. You were singing. But I was having this conversation in my head. Oh, my God. What exactly is going on? But I was like... And then I could smell the popcorn come from outside. Like, wow. That sounds... At that moment, you see, my attention is like off to that popcorn. Even though we are like, yay. You get it? So that day I realized that, not eating before a major event can't be serious. Imagine I'm talking right now and then I realize I'm hungry again. So many things. People do stuff. People do interesting things when they're hungry. You know. So I beg, eat whatever I want to eat. But if you have a lot of things to do, like a lot of vocal. When I say a lot of things, I say I mean a lot of vocal activity to do. Whatever you eat, warm up afterwards. Do you understand? Because try to picture this. Sound is produced in your vocal folds. Your vocal folds are found in your larynx. Your larynx is at the end of your tongue. Do you understand? Which is like here. Like when you feel your neck, that thing that they call Adam's apple, you know. That's like, so that's where your vocal folds are. You get it? But the sound has to come out of your mouth. Do you understand? For you to hear what I'm saying. Which means that between the distance of the end of my mouth, right, and then where the sound is produced, there's a passageway the sound needs to travel. Do you get it? Now, your vocal folds are found inside your respiratory system, not in your digestive system. So when you eat, it doesn't necessarily go and attack your vocal folds like directly. I'm not getting my point. Am I safe? Are we good? Good. So what happens is the food you take in sort of stings, all right, the passageway for the sound, the passageway the sound uses to come out. So realize that because of that, when the sound is produced, all right, it amplifies and comes out. But when there's something there, it amplifies and comes out like that. So you have trumpets. Have you ever seen people playing trumpets before? 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, okay, 5 people. All right, fine. I'll try and help you out. At the end of it, like as a part of a trumpet, all right, there's this particular valve you can press on to allow the saliva to come out. Because no matter how well you play the notes, if there's something choking it, the sound will come out very, very well. Do you understand? But we don't have that. We don't have something you press and, you know, whatever is inside here goes away. What we have is a warm-up exercise. I guess what I'm saying. So for us, whatever you eat, you warm up to clear it up. Are you getting me? Warm up to clear it up so they can go back to your old self and just do attend to your vocal activity. That'll be cool. But some things are a bit too much for your voice. We'll probably get to that later. But also in terms of diet, just in case you have some issues with your voice, all right, and need some speedy recovery, all right, or you just want to stay quite healthy. You don't want to go, like, for example, imagine there's a conference like this, okay, and then before the conference, we gather outside and then we eat some serious amount of food, spicy and all that, and then we come inside here. I won't be seated inside here and I'll be doing ba 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 in my swivel chair. You know, people go like, this guy is just a show off. What's he doing? I guess my point. So if you realize that you have no time to warm up, then don't give yourself that responsibility. Don't even go and eat those couple. Yeah, like find time to eat, you know, way before. You get it? Hello. But there's anything you can take in right now that'll make you fine. Something like an apple. Let me say generally fruits. I'm saying fruits because the things that deal in healing of your body, all right, are the things that will save you in any day. And fruits are known to be one of those things. Okay, and then honey, you know, and lime and all that. So with those things, you take them and you can just go on stage and talk. All right? But I highlighted apple because, per my experience and observation, apple seems to have certain abilities to cause healing like real quick. And to cause your voice to be clear like real quick. Hello? Yeah, so when it comes to diet, I would say you can eat anything you want to eat. But if you do that, learn to warm up right afterwards to reverse the effects. But if you don't want to do that, or let me say in any other day, if you want to do something that will aid your voice, you can eat fruits, especially apples. Are we okay? Good? Number 5, exercise regularly. Body exercise. That's something some people do not want to hear. But it's important. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever seen any buff man or any like muscular guy who is not straight? Like in terms of physical, like he's really buff, but he's not straight. He's buff, but he stands like this. Have you ever seen something like that before? It's not possible. Do you know why? Body exercise gives you good posture. So you never see anyone who works out very, very well and the person is not straight in any day. It's not possible. Even how they lift the staff cry out, like, yeah, back straight, you know, that kind of thing. So you need to work out to, number 1, give you that posture you need. Also, if you get on stage and, for example, you have events like this, you go to a place and you're really nervous. What's happening is your heartbeat rate increases. Okay? When your heartbeat rate increases, it means that the air exchange in your lungs also has to increase. Do you get it? And because of that, because the air is the fuel to your singing, to your talking, all right? If it increases and it becomes very, very difficult to control, it will become an issue when you're talking. Because like trying to talk really calm, even though you have... That's what happens. So realize that when you're nervous and you get on stage, your voice is really shaky, some wavy. You know, it's not like that's how you sound normally, but it would be shaky. Okay? I'll ask you to exercise because when you exercise, it puts you in that same state, except you not being nervous. But what's happening is, in that particular state, you get used to it and you can learn how to talk. Do you understand? There were days when I used to go for jogging, all right? As I'm running, I'll be singing as I'm running. For you I pour it out. For you I pour it out. I pour. You get it, like constantly. Sometimes like, for you. Sometimes it's like that. But you see, it's just an exercise. So when I get on stage on any day and I have to be active, that's times when you get on stage and like, things really drumming. And sometimes the dances that you put on stage is gymnastics on their own. No. It's not easy. And then after the whole gymnast, you have to come and talk, and sound responsible. You can't sound responsible with a shaky voice. Imagine your father is trying to scold you and his voice is shaking. That must be extreme. Yeah, stop that. It doesn't work. Are we cool? Hello? Are we good? So body exercise is key. Body exercise gives you good posture and it helps in your breathing. All right. Now, breath is the fuel to your speech. Breath is the fuel to your voice. So if you have to learn how, it's like having a car, knowing the fuel is diesel or petrol, super, and then not being able to control how much consumption is being made. What happens is it's possible that you would work a little bit beyond your budget. Hello? Good. So because you know that the fuel to your speech is your breath, you need to learn how to control your breath to suit you. Are we good? I hope I'm making a lot of sense. So the way people are not responding, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Also, it gives a very, very good muscle tone. As I said, your vocal folds are a muscle just like every other muscle in your body. So I would advise you to do anything that makes you sweat, anything that makes your heartbeat rate increase. Some 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. It will help you. I don't want you to get to 30, 40, 50, 60 and look at your children or people, younger people than you, and go like, I was just like you, but now I can't talk anymore. I can't speak. I wouldn't ever want you to do that. So these principles I'm giving you are for now till you leave this earth. No, there are people who are preachers, presidents, and so on and so forth, and they're really old, but they can still talk. I guess what I'm saying. And you don't know, they will not come and tell you that the president has employed a voice coach, but they do have those people working for them. Imagine the president of America going on stage and he's coughing. Have you ever heard of that before? Or he's lost his voice? Someone is getting fired if that happens. Hello. So you see, it's important you take note of some of these principles, because these are the principles that will take you like a long way. You're going to speak for a very, very long time. Personally, I always tell myself and I tell people that I don't want to be a father and then when my children are singing and are doing all those, I'm like, yeah, I can't do that, but yeah. No, I'll be a competition. A serious one. You sing, ha, I do, ha. No, it will just be back and forth like that. That's me. I want to be able to go to places when I'm 60, 70, 80, go to different places and still deliver speeches and still teach what I teach. And so because of that, for me, my voice is key. It's very, very important. No matter how angry I am, no matter how emotional I am at any point in time, no matter how extreme I am at any point, shouting is out of the question. Talking too much is out of the question. I've learned to be calm, to keep my voice. I used to be a very, very loud person, like always chatting, and you can see how dramatic I am. Like sometimes, like I love to joke, with my friends and all that. But I've learned to take precaution with some of these things, because for me, I have a goal. All right. So I want you to cherish your voice in that sense. No matter the amount of things you know, if you don't have your voice to say it, to speak it, forget it. I just rhymed. Did you see that? Are we cool? So your voice, funny enough, it gives you value. Thank you. Your voice will give you value. So it's like knowing that you have this treasure and then not keeping it. You have something really important. You love this, you value this, but you don't want to treat it anyhow. I guess what I'm saying. Your voice gives you value. Even in ministry, sometimes we the singers go on stage more than a lot of preachers and elders in our church. You understand? I've not been ordained. I'm a small boy. Where are you? You get it? But if they raise a song and they want the song to go on, they'll come and call your mic, come on stage, take the mic. And I can be on stage for a very, very, very long time without being on the because of my voice. Do you understand? There are people who have so much knowledge, but because they don't have the voice to speak it out, somebody else has to do the speaking. Hello? There are people who are actually employed because they just know how to talk, because they have this rich voice. This guy, the one whose voice is always used for God in movies, what's his name? Morgan Freeman. I mean, come on. He's paid to say, and God said. Literally. There was this time I was working somewhere, and then someone looked at me and was like, yo, Mike, do you have a studio? I didn't have one. I said, yeah, why, what's up? I said, oh, I just need someone to do a voiceover. I said, oh, cool. I mean, I can do it. I couldn't do it. So I called somebody else who I thought could do it. You get it? Like, yo, do you know about this thing? He said, yeah, let's do it. He charged. I charged. You put the charge on the guy, and the guy paid. I was like, this is easy money. All we have to do is talk and have the particular richness. Like, do you get it? Man, your voice gives you so much value. It gives you your presence. If your voice is not nice, there are some people whose voices are very, very irritating to listen to. So no matter how much sense they are making, you want them to stop. Do you get it? Just, I can't do this anymore. It's over. No matter how nice she is, you end that relationship. Anyways, so I think I'll end over here. I've been given 30 minutes, so I won't stick to the 30 minutes and end right here. I'll come back again maybe later to continue and give a fuller picture. But this is just for you to take note of certain principles that are going to keep you for a very, 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 very long time. As a speaker, as a public speaker, as a teacher, as a lecturer, as anybody who speaks a lot. Thank you. You have a question? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. You said that overuse leads to misuse of the voice. And I want us to look at this place as an example.
Okay.
Without a PA system, as you are using right now, can you talk to us seated here, maybe a full house without a microphone? If you do that, does it have any effect on your voice?
Okay. There are ways to do that that are safe. You understand? Certain people are not loud generally. I know people who are not loud. There's this guy who's a rapper. He's supposed to be a rapper. You know, rappers are supposed to be hard guys. You know, when they talk, hey, they've talked, hey, they've spoken, that kind of thing. Do you understand? But that guy, he literally sounds like this. This is his loudest. He can't, you know. So because of that, for him, he would definitely need this to communicate to people. And even this, you have to increase the volume. But for someone like me, I've learned to communicate to people and speak, like project my voice without necessarily shouting. This is me still speaking without shouting. I'm generally applying the principles of singing, where I can sing, but in shorter notes. Ba-da-da-da-da. Do you get my point? So I'm just applying certain principles to help me speak out loud without me straining my voice. So I'm still in a comfortable, in a comfortable use of my voice. But if you don't know how to do those things, and then you go and address so many people, you heard Jesus Christ address 5,000 people. You also go and address 5,000 people. You go to Great Hall, the light goes off, and you want everybody calm down at Great Hall. Yeah, you're not helping yourself because then you are shouting. You get it? So if you do not know how to shout, I advise you always get a PA system to use. If you know how to project without necessarily messing up your voice, then that's cool. Yeah. Are you okay? All right. Any other person?
Yeah, thank you for the enlightenment. I would just like to ask for clarification. You made an example. For instance, somebody is standing on the down floor. You want to communicate to somebody up on up floor. Now, my question is, how would you advise me, for instance, I want to speak to a very noisy crowd. Keep quiet, but they're not listening. How do I communicate to them for them to listen to me?
Interesting. Okay, so you're speaking in terms of my advice to you, all right, per my experience and observation so far. If I'm going to do anything like that, okay, I have learned to find out the kind of people I'm going to deal with. If I feel like these people are going to be really stubborn, I will come with a megaphone. Like, I have bought a megaphone for myself, and I'll go with it, because I know that these people are quite interesting to control. Do you understand? I like to do my research like that. I know at this place, we all have mics, so I don't need to shout. So I'm actually really calm right now. Do you get it? But in a situation where you walk into a place and it's like that, there is something I call the huh method. Everybody say, huh. Yeah. You see, when you say the huh, it's like the sound is resonating from within, like that. And it sort of gives you this weight. So if you want to speak out loud to a lot of people, you use this method as a point of reference and you amplify it. And that's what I was doing when I was talking to him. So those are the same principles we use in singing that we apply in speech to keep our voices. Do you understand? This is me shouting. You see how it sounds like I sound like I'm putting so much force into it. But this is me speaking with the huh method, even though it's very, very, very loud. So keep quiet, that kind of thing. It's not keep quiet, do you get the difference in the texture? You understand? But if you're not used to using the huh method to shout, you have to practice it constantly, a lot of times, to get used to it. Then you can use it. Otherwise, till then, you'll probably be shouting every time. It reminds you your voice gives you so much value. So there are some things that you must put an X on, like shouting. Shouting is not your thing. Laughing too hard is not your thing. So for you, it's a constant use of the ha method. Ha method. Ha method. Are you okay? You sure? Okay. Are we good? Yes.
Hello. Okay. Okay. You see the way I'm talking?
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel the disparity between the way I sing and the way I talk like this.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I can really sing with a very, good texture, vocal, but when I speak, I feel the cracks and the H's and it doesn't really flow like that.
Okay.
Especially sometimes I'll be busily doing something, although I'm not using my vocal, like I'm quiet. Immediately someone calls me and I pick and I talk like for a few minutes, like, your voice sounds like you are sleeping, like, I'm not asleep, cry at all, but like, the way I sound, I don't know, but naturally, I feel that. I don't know. How do I work on
I would say something like the warming up every day can help you take care of these things. Because like you, when I had the vocal damage, there were times when I wake up and my voice was constantly deep and rough. Yeah. So even trying to speak to Lord, I'll talk and I feel pain here in my throat because it was just rough. But then when I started warming up every day, what happens is I've built my voice to a particular point where I can now do anything at all. So I would actually spend like over 40 minutes warming up every day. But it's not like I'm not doing any other thing. You get it? Like I wake up in the morning, I go straight into exercise, move straight from exercise into bathroom ministry. Bathroom ministry means you're in bathroom, you're singing. You get it? And then from bathroom ministry, I just keep on singing wherever I'm going to. Good morning. And I'm on the streets, I'm still humming. People are like, you're making so much noise. What's that? Do I care? I just keep humming. You understand? Because I just need to get my voice in a particular texture. And it took a while. But after some time, I would wake up in the morning and my voice was just clear because I was used to it. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you've not been warming up before you speak, like every day, try it. It really helps. Every day in capital letters. Is that important? Okay.
Okay. You actually demonstrated one right now, but to many of us who are not singers, how do they do their warm-ups and stuff?
Okay. I was hoping to tackle that in my part 2, but let me just tackle that right now. All right. So for us, I would say that humming is important. All right. Humming is, let me put it this way. Oh, wow. I have to explain all these things. Vocal warm-ups, all right, basically it's like this. Again, see your voice. This time, see your voice as an athlete. You understand? You're a vocal athlete. Okay? Now, with exercise or with athletics or with any other game in sports, you realize that because of the amount of work or amount of pressure that it puts on your muscles, you need to do some subtle works before you get on the pitch, the field, to start playing. Do you understand? So footballers, for example, before they get on stage to do a lot of playing and all that, they will be seen at the sidelines jogging, right? Because when they get on stage, when they get on the field, they just like, bam, run here, that kind of thing. But they are seen on the sidelines jogging just around the sidelines. I guess my point. Because that gives them, that I'm about to do some serious work, so my muscles should get ready. If they don't do that and they get on the field and they start running, they could easily get a muscle pull. Do you get my point? Yes. So that's how warm-up works. So because of that, you start with something that is comfortable, and then you build up to what you're supposed to be doing. So humming is one of them. You start with something that's really comfortable, whether you know how to sing or not. This one is for you alone. So you wake up, the first things you should try to do is to hum. So, Or so let's try hum. 1, 2, 2, anything. Just hum anything. 1, 2, go. Thank you. Like, it's cool. I'm proud of all of you. You're on. Yeah. I mean, seriously. So that this exercise is good. All right. It's a slow process though. So don't do 5 minutes and stop. It's a slow process. Just continue doing it over and over and over and over. Okay. Are we cool? Okay. Interesting. 2 questions. My last 2 questions. I'll come back again, so don't worry.
Okay. I would like to find out, let's say you're on a parade, like a military parade, or let's say a SIF march parade, and you've been there for a long time, and you can feel like your throat is a bit dry, and here you have to shout too. Like when you are caught up in situations like that, how do you do it?
Okay.
Because there, you have to shout for everybody to hear.
Yeah.
Sometimes there might be no microphone or something. Like you need to shout for everybody to hear the commands that you are giving. I want to know how you can go about it.
Okay, no problem. It might seem that I'm giving the same answers for everything, because actually the things I've discussed are the basics for everything. No matter how high you go, you need it. No matter how wide you go, you need it. If you are into active work like that, I would say most of the time, in fact, I've never seen a parade where they have lapels match. They never do that. They are always shouting. Sometimes it's a huge army, So you need to learn how to warm up every day. Do you know what I'm saying? Why I said the same principle applies. If you warm up every day, you're always ready to do anything at all. The same principle applies. Do you get it? And also, the first point I made about you drinking water every time is key. All right, and the water, up for yours, no cold water. When it comes to that, warm water or room temperature water is fine. Okay, so these particular 2 things, if put into active use, will save you a lot. Otherwise, what happens is you continue doing it. Right now, we are young, we are doing it, and then at some time you can't shout anymore, and it's very, very important. And you see, some of these things, they can cause this serious retardedness here and lead to some very, very chronic stuff that you want to avoid. Okay, so drinking a lot of water and warming up every day is important to save you. Are we okay? Yeah. My last question.
Okay, so you realize that on a normal day, we all sound very differently.
Yeah.
And then right now we are learning about corporate presentation. Is there a particular way or a kind of tone that's acceptable in the corporate world, or we are free to talk how we want it? Not like in a sense that any tone, or there's a particular way they want it in the corporate world.
Okay. That was something I was going to discuss in the next part, but I'll just give you a gist right now. I'll discuss something called vocal registers. All right. For every human being, we have about 4 or 5 vocal registers. There is the head voice, which is what the opera singers use. That's my head voice. Falsetto is what something like Usher would use. You get it? And there's a chest voice, which we use in talking. Now, as a public speaker, as a singer, those ones apply to me every time. But as a public speaker, now imagine this man in the parade, and be like, parade! Oh, it's right. No, like, just that. No. When it comes to speaking, your chest voice is what we need. You understand? That's your talking voice. Now, we all sound different because of the different vocal cavities that we have. All right, release in our resonance and all those things. So your chest voice is what you need. Now, your chest voice, you can have the nasal effect. You can have the resonation being only on the throat. You can have the one that's really deep down. Like, I am Batman. Do you understand? Yeah. So most of the time, try to do I am Batman. You probably sound like, I am Batman. But you just try and do like that kind of thing. Have that deep thing, that weight in your voice. But I'll go into more details in my next presentation. Okay. All right. Hey. Last question. Because of time, that's what I'm doing that.
Okay. You talk about voice loss.
Okay.
And I want to ask, sometimes you will not do anything with your voice, but all of a sudden, your voice is gone. And sometimes, too, your voice is okay. You can do everything. You can sing and do all kinds of things, but nothing will happen. So what is the cause? And also, with the HAR method, is there any long-term effect once you practice it?
This question is interestingly very, very broad. It's like Nebuchadnezzar's dream. You are just there and your voice runs away from you. Okay. I would say that you have to try to trace some things. Do you understand? Trace your way back certain things. There may be certain things number one, you might have taken in. That will prevent that. Number two, it's possible that when you woke up, you didn't warm up. So it's still, your voice is still asleep. You've not like gotten into active activity. So that's that. Number three, there's also maybe you may not have done too many things, but you might have done one thing wrong. For example, I realized that in my journey to keep my voice, all right, there were days at first I used to laugh very, very hard. Like when there's a joke, that kind of thing, and I would really laugh hard, like hard. But like when you're done laughing, you feel like there's something here. Do you understand? So some of those simple things, there are not a lot of them, but those simple things prevent you from getting your utmost efficiency. I was looking for a word. So just learn to trace back to see what you might have done maybe the night before, the things you might have taken the night before or during the day to see why it is so. And the HAR method, practice makes perfect. So you do something till you get used to it. Do you understand? When you do it so often, you go on stage and you'll be talking like that. But if you don't do it, you still have your old ways. Because some things we all learn, some people learn some things naturally, like when they are growing up. You get it? But there are certain things that we all have to sort of consciously put our mind to it and learn it. And for me, the HAR method was one of them. I had to learn how to talk calmly like this when I'm communicating with people, give it that weight. And after some time, I was doing it unconsciously. So that's how it is. And when you do it, your voice will be safe, like constantly. I'm sure I'll be 60 years, and when I sing, some of these young university boys, their girlfriends will leave them. That I'm very, very sure. All right, so I would end my presentation here. I will come back again. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Please, a round of applause again for Mr. Michael A.J. Lowe. If you haven't learned anything, I have. I really, really have. Indeed, he's a cognoscenti in the art of public speaking. I share a lot in the things he said, and I believe you also have learned. I want us to get interactive. I want you to share some of the things that you have learned. Let me give you a little story. So, like I said earlier, I share a lot in the things he said. I'm quite an extrovert. I can get a bit loud sometimes, and I tend to lose my voice very easily. At a point, it became a pattern. Every Monday, Hillary has lost her voice. Hey, auntie. And it's no excuse. You go to class. You're supposed to answer a question, and you can't because you've lost your voice. Not too long ago, I had an interview, and I had studied really hard. It was such a big interview for me, and I needed to ace it. I studied really hard. There were things a bit away from the things I'm doing in school. So you need to go read about something else someone else is reading and be better than the person who is even reading that particular course. I'd really, really studied, and on the morning, I'd lost my voice. In the morning of the day, I lost my voice. You should have seen me that morning, testing mic 1 2 1 2. God, please help me. Come and see prayers. Campaign. It wasn't easy. And there's so many people coming, a number of applicants. Some have been shortlisted. They have come for the interview just like you have. And you have lost your voice. Nobody has your time. Because these interviewers sometimes they get familiar. They get familiar running interviews all the time, and they can't take a particular interest in you. What have you brought to the table? They don't know you from anywhere. You're not their family. So you cannot also go explaining that you are ill or you have lost your voice. You can't play that card as well. And so you need to deliver. So it's really, really an important thing he's talked about. We need to cherish our voices. Train our voices. learn to guard them. So I've taken a cue from what he said. I'm going to speak less. I'm going to shout less. I'm going to laugh less. I'm going to conduct myself better. I'm going to learn to be calm. How about you? Tell me something. You. Okay. All right.
Please, just a question.
Yes, please.
So, what did you do that day? What did you do?
Okay, an excellent question. Thankfully, so in the morning, my voice was, actually I was ill the entire time. I had been hospitalized. So I'd gotten better. I convinced the doctors that I was okay and I could go. And during the night, I'd lost my voice in the morning. It was this way in the morning. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Jesus, please help me. Please, I need to do this. Good morning. Test the mic, 1, 2, 1, 2. But you see, my God is big. So by the time I went for the interview, I didn't have this. But I had, hello, please, can you hear me? And I tried. So I went, and thankfully, confidence wasn't a problem to add to my stress of losing my voice. So I was going to play the card of, I can do this. I've come to tell you what I know. And I'll keep talking till you tell me you are okay with me, because I do not have enough of the voice. So what I have enough of, I'll give more of it. And something was able to come out. So we're able to speak, and God being very good, it was a success. So don't be like me. You may not be lucky. So let's do better. So yes, thank you. Anyone with what you learned, let's get interactive. You're here to learn public speaking. We are here to interact. So please, let's speak. Anybody, anything you took from what Mr. Michael shared with us? Okay, I'm listening here.
Okay, so I learned that I should laugh less because I'm a type of guy who likes laughing a lot in class.
Okay, so what's your name, please?
I'm Hayford.
Okay, so this is what Hayford also learns. Anybody? One last person.
Okay, thank you very much. I learned the method. It's my first time hearing of it, so okay. I guess this time I won't shout a lot, but apply this. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So we move on to the very next session. Next, we have someone I like to call a strategic communicator. He was a former Speaker of Parliament for the KNUST SRC, and he goes by the name Mr. Joel Kojo Telfer. He'll share a lot with us. He's going to be speaking on audience engagement and analysis. Please let's have our ears to the ground and listen to him. Pay rapt attention and take cues from what he has to say to us. Please let's give a round of applause for Mr. Kojo Telfer.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. So as she said, my name is Joel Kojo Telfer. We seem to have a very good number of people here, and I like the number because it means that we can have a very interactive conversation without affecting the flow of things that we are going to do. I must say I'm happy to see all of you here. I'm excited when people want to engage in things that develop their capacities and make them better people. So I'm very excited to be here. My name is Joel Kojo Telfer again. I hold a bachelor's degree from this very university. I was here 2 years ago. I'm a strategic communications enthusiast and a public speaking coach. So I assist people with public speaking mechanisms and things they can do to aid their growth. You can hear me? Can you hear me? Is it clear now? So the reason I'm speaking like this is I want to illustrate a point to you subsequently so you understand why I've taken a bad monotone. And then I'll switch it up a bit, and then you get the point I'm trying to make. Please, I hope that's fine. All right, so I'll be handling today audience engagement and analysis. How do I switch? Okay, so when I want to switch, like whoever is behind will switch it for me. All right, that's interesting. So I have with me a very short quiz. I just want you to reflect on this for a few minutes. I'm not going to read it out for you. I want you to read it yourself, and then we'll be back to it. Can we move on? You have this captured. Right. So today we'll do. Yeah. So thank you for that. This is how our presentation is going to take shape. We'll do an introduction. We'll do an overview. We'll talk about audience research. We'll look at the structure of a proper presentation. We'll try and talk about connection and then delivery. I think the first part has been handled, the introduction, so we'll just move on to the next slide. And so, like I said, the introduction has been done, but let's talk about the nature of public speaking. As you may be aware, or as you've already been told, or as you've interfaced with a lot of times, public speaking involves speaking to a good number of people, standing in front of them and making your point very clear. It's a very important tool you can use to elaborate and expatiate on important points to you. And so it's a skill I am of the opinion every university graduate ought to have. Sadly, a lot of us don't have that skill. And so when we find ourselves in the job market, in the world of work, or in many other places, we are unable to communicate effectively, we still have people, I'm sure, that we have people seated here that if I thrust the mic into their hands right now to say something, they will be shivering a bit and they'll be shaking and to be a problem. So I think that it's a very important tool that we ought to learn. And then today my focus will be on audience engagement and analysis, right? So in a survey conducted by Harris Poll, almost half of the people that took the poll could not indicate that they were fully compliant during a presentation. What it meant was people would rather spend time sending a text message, an email, or doing anything else rather than paying attention to the speaker. When I started talking, I've been darting my eye around to see if anybody has gotten to their phone. Fortunately for me, nobody has gotten there yet. So I think I'm still in the good frames of mind in terms of all of you. But then you do realize, even when you're in class, after some 10 minutes of the lecture teaching, what you do is just to take your phone and begin to text somebody or send an email. You go to some presentation and the first thing you want, you're so bored, and so you just want to get onto your phone. The reason people look for other things that are more interesting to them during presentations is because a lot of people that do their presentations are unable to connect with the audience in a way that holds their attention for a long period of time. And that is very important, guys, because presentations can quickly get boring. Presentations are not movies. They are not things that you can trust your eye onto and be so excited and engrossed about. How many of you watch Game of Thrones? Game of Thrones, how many of you? Some of, like, I'm sure you can watch season 1 to season 7 or 8 without blinking or without doing anything else. It has your full attention. It is because content providers have learned to find engaging content, things that will make you locked onto your screen the whole time. That same logic should apply when you're doing an audience engagement or presentation. You should be able to look for content that is very relevant and that can engage your audience and make sure they're looking at you or they're concentrated on what you're doing the whole time. And that is very important, right? So engaging the audience is largely determined by 3 key elements. I want you to write this down. How you structure your presentation, how well you understand your audience, and how you deliver the information. We'll go to the next slide. So I hope you got the 3 slides, right? There are 3 key elements. You didn't get that. So let's go back. Back. The previous slide. Previous. Yes. So engaging the audience is largely determined by 3 key elements. How you structure your presentation, how well you understand your audience, and how you deliver the information. Yes. So audience research. So now we are going to talk about how well you understand your audience. So as a matter of curiosity, I just want anybody to switch on their mics and tell me, what were the kind of people you were expecting to see at today's conference? Anybody? You tell me your name and go ahead and talk to me about it. What were the kind of people? What target group? What kind of human beings were you expecting to see? Students, professionals, old men, young women? I just want anybody to turn on your microphone and tell me something. What were the kind of people you're expecting to see here?
My name is Lupogo. I was expecting to get presenters from corporate businesses and all with strong experience on how we can equip this class to be really a public speaking class.
Great. But I also want to know, apart from the presenters you're expecting to see, the audience, what were the kind of people you thought would attend a public speaking training program like this?
Oh, I was expecting students with courage and need to learn on public speaking.
Great. Anybody else? Yes.
For me, at first,
I want to know your name.
I'm Daniel Akudbila. And for me, at first, when I saw the masterclass, I actually went online and searched the masterclass. Then I saw that it was something international, so many branches all over, so many online classes. So when I was coming, I was expecting very great people who have been speaking all over the world and made great impact and will share great experiences that I would pick from. So,
great. You've answered the first leg of my question. The second leg. So what were the kind of people like yourself who you thought would be attending this session?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking that when I get here, I'm going to meet other students, and I'm going to also meet maybe big corporate guys, maybe who are making it, maybe in marketers, bankers, yeah.
So if I'm to get the both of you right, the underlying denominator was you're expecting people who are enthusiastic to learn about public speaking, right? Right. So all this can be done, or you can infer from this basically by understanding what the program is about. So knowing the program and knowing what the program is about will help you understand your audience. And that is what we call audience research. So you need to know your audience. You need to know the number of people you're expecting. You need to know what the audience is expecting from you, the kind of things that the audience want to hear from you. Obviously, I can't come here today and come and talk about soccer or football, right? Right? Because you didn't come here to, you didn't get a ticket to come and sit here for me to rant about why Chelsea Football Club is the best club in the world, even though it is. You feel free to disagree. That's your problem. But you didn't come here today to come and listen to me talk about football or any other subjects. The reason you came here today because you expected, like he said, well-spoken. The lineup is very impressive. I've seen it. You expected well-versed people in the art of public speaking to come here and come and do a training for you so that you can leave here better off than you came. So those were the expectations. You also need to know the demographic. Who knows what the demographic is? Anybody? Yeah, go.
The demographic basically would be like the age range, the sex, and then maybe the occupations or something.
Exactly. So demographic has to do with population dynamics. So the age range, like you said, is 6. So obviously, you know that there are certain things, especially with context, with the African cultural context, there are certain things you can't say in front of old people, right? And there's a manner in which you speak with, when you're speaking to older people, you speak to them. There's also a manner in which when you're speaking with younger people, you speak to them. So if I use social media jargons, like WhatsApp, Charlie, how far? Most of you are likely to understand it, right? Because of the demographic that we find ourselves in with today. Because most of you are young people, most of you are students, and so you're able to identify or relate with more of the experiences that I'll be sharing with you, right? So it's important to know the demographics. It's important to know the kind of people that are appearing. That alters the way you speak. That alters the kind of content that you prepare. Because, for instance, if I play a video right now concerning public speaking, you're likely to be engrossed because our generation is the social media generation and we like to see our stuff in a lot of visual forms. But the generation before us, they are the paper generation. So they are better off if you print it for them. Have you noticed? So older people don't like presentations. They like that, especially if you study carefully, the extremely old lecturers, I won't call them extremely, but the older lecturers, they prefer their handouts in hard copy. The younger ones will tell you soft copy. They'll give you the slides. But the older ones will tell you, go and buy this book. Everything is in a book. You get the point I'm trying to make. So it is important to know your demographic and know what the kind of things that will sell well with that demographic. It is also important because it ensures you don't say things that are offensive, right? So in a room full of, let's say, black people, and I'm also a black person, we can have a conversation freely about, maybe I can use a term, excuse my language, like nigger, and nobody will be offended. Especially among young people. Charlie, you're my nigger. Is anybody offended by that? No, but in a room with old people, especially those who have experienced the harshest effects of colonial rule and all those things, that is very offensive. And so knowing your audience is very important, and make sure you don't make a blunder in that regard. Next slide. So like you said, like I said in the slide, the most important thing is be sure to get all of these details before the speech. Next slide. So what are the kind of things that you need to look at when you're doing your audience research? I needed to make this disclaimer at the beginning of my speech. Whatever I'll present to you today is not exhaustive. There are a lot of materials on the internet that can aid you. I have just found the ones that are extremely reliable, and then they have guided my way and guided my practice in terms of audience engagement and analysis. I would do a short analysis to you at the end of my presentation as to why these mechanisms or methods are very, very successful, and I think everybody should try and apply them. So what will the lighting be like? Will there be a time for question and answers? Can you walk around and interact with the audience? Will you pass the microphone? What type of sound system and microphone will you use? What format should the presentations be in? Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and realize that, so for instance, this room is extremely well lit, in my opinion. The microphone, you have microphones in front of you, so I don't have a problem of passing the microphone. If I had that problem, I would have had to request for another microphone and get somebody seated here, so that once it's time for a Q&A session, or I want somebody to answer a question that I have asked, the person can quickly pass the microphone. You get that? But if I don't make my research beforehand and I come and stand here and I say, I'm even an offender of one of the things that I did. So I got here and I didn't even know that the remote I needed to control my slides was unavailable. If I had done my audience research very well and knowing my environment very well, I would have been told beforehand that the remote was not yet available and that it would be made available to me and I could improvise. So it is improper for me to come and complain about my slides not being able to move at a good rate and all of those things. So that is a mistake I made here, and I hope none of you make that mistake in the future. But more importantly, all of these elements that I've listed out above in this slide enables you know the kind of dynamics to expect in the process of doing your presentation. So coming here, I knew we're coming to the IDL Conference Center. I've been here before. I've conducted a seminar here before, and I know that the microphones in front of you work very well. So that is why when I asked the question, I just said turn on your mic and mention your name and go ahead. I didn't say I'm going to ask a question and I'll pass it to the lovely MC over there, and then she will go around passing the microphone. You get the difference. You get the point. And so also, I'm very much aware that there will be a time for question and answer session. So if somebody puts up their hand right now, I could just defer and say, please, can you hold on to your question when it's time for Q&A? We'll do that. But if I didn't know there was a time for Q&A, what I'll be doing is, while doing my presentation, I'll be taking questions, and that could affect the flow of my presentation. So do you get how it's important to know all of these things before the speech itself is delivered or the presentation itself is made? Please, I hope you get it. Also, notice that dynamics differ from time to time. There may be instances where all the things you planned or you were told before coming for the presentation, things may change. A lot of things may tinker. Your ability to think on your feet and your ability to improvise is also very important. So when you come in, the microphone is not working, they tell you to use another microphone or a different set of microphones. You ought to be able to step up, because people have paid so much money to come and watch you. You can't say because of one blunder or the other, you'll be unable to participate and do your presentation in that regard. So let's talk about the most important part of a presentation, right? The structure, the form in which the presentation is going to take. I say it's the most crucial step in engaging your audience, and the structure is well mapped out before planning, as part of the planning for the presentation. How many of you are final year students? Final year students, just give me a wave. So I'm sure you're well aware, this is the second semester, right? So I'm sure you're aware you'll be doing your presentations before your lectures, for your project, your thesis defense, if I'm right. And so the most crucial step in preparing the presentation is looking at the structure. In terms of structure, I have decided to divide it into 3 important elements of the structure, very simple ones: the beginning, the middle, and the end. The beginning, the middle, and the end. So the beginning of your story serves as a call to adventure. What you need to do is to set up the audience for what to expect in the entire speech. That is why an overview and introduction is very important. So what if I came and said, okay, The first thing you need to know about audience engagement is 1, A. The second thing you need to do is 2, B. I'm done, I'm going. That presentation will obviously not have sat well with you. Am I right? Am I right? So the overview and introduction is also very important. It helps you understand it places or lays the framework for what the presentation is going to be like, what form the presentation is going to take, and this is very important. So you need to think of instances or ways in which people's attention will be drawn to what you're going to be talking about. They need to understand what kind of elements you're going to be approaching your presentation with. They need to know what the presentation is going to be about, and this should be in your first and second slide. This should be in your first and second slide. I don't want to go all the way back, but when you have the slides, you see that I did that. So the first slide was on the introduction. The second one was what public speaking, the nature of public speaking, and the type of public speaking that we're going to be handling today. And that is very important. So it should include concise information from which everyone, about something that everyone agrees to. The one thing you don't want to do is to make a very controversial statement at the beginning of your presentation. You can easily piss people off. People don't usually allow the benefit of the doubt. They don't give people that platform to be able to say those things. So basically go with the softer topics, go with the less harsher tones, and that is a very good way to begin your presentation. The middle is the generally longer one and usually the more difficult one to do, because you have to do a construct between the beginning and the middle. So you have to reconcile the things you said you were going to do in the beginning and then proceed to do them in the middle. I said I was going to talk to you about structure, connection, delivery, all of those wonderful things, right? And so it's important that at this part of my presentation, where I've got into the middle, I draw a connect between the initial things I said I was going to do and what I'm doing now. It's a blunder or it's a serious error if you decide to make a point that you're going to talk about in your introduction and you decide to ignore it in your middle or in the middle part of your presentation. That is why time management is also very effective, because you need to be able to manage your time effectively. I'm sure some other speaker will be talking to you about that, but you need to be able to manage your time effectively to ensure that you can effectively handle your middle, because the presentation, the bulk of the presentation, the most important part of the presentation is in the middle. If people don't understand the middle part of the presentation, you had no business in doing the presentation very well. Also, sometimes you need to provide a situation where your audience is left in a bit of a dilemma. So it's good to ask intriguing questions in the middle of your presentation that you intend to conclude on. So the intriguing questions serve as a basis for which you will conclude on in the future. It helps people stay intrigued for the rest of the presentation, and they are interested to know like the kind of wonderful things that you'll be talking about subsequently. Then finally, the end. The end of the presentation should leave the audience with a good sense of what the presentation was about. So if at the end of my presentation today, you don't understand what I came here to come and do, you don't have a good grasp of audience engagement and analysis, then I have failed you, and there was no point for us being here today, right? Right? So it's important that at the end of your presentation, you're able to give a summation of the events and ensure that that summation reflects a general view, a proper view of the kind of conversation that went on in terms of the presentation. So you should also use that as an opportunity to open the conversation, open the dialogue. So if it's an open-ended presentation you do, for instance, maybe you did a presentation on the effects of female genital mutilation. You could use the end of your presentation as a call to action or as a suggestion. So what can we do next in stemming the tide of female genital mutilation? It's very important. The ending part of your story must repeat the important part of the presentation that you did so that people are refreshed with the elements of that presentation and they go leaving the presentation on a good note. Connection. So if you noticed, for the major part of my presentation, I've been standing behind the podium for good reason, because I wanted you to focus on the slides in the beginning of my presentation. But that is also an ineffective way of communicating with people. Because when I moved rightly to come and stand here, a lot of you are now engaged on me. You have decided to stop looking at the slides. You're not here because of the slides. I could have given you the slides, or some of these things, you can easily find them online. The most important thing is to establish a connection between you and your audience such that they understand the things you are talking to them about. That is what distinguishes you from just anybody or from just any slide. You get the point I'm making? So at the beginning of the speech, I told you I was going to use a drab, monotone, a boring, uninspiring tone. I was going to stand behind the podium, all for good reason. because I wanted to show you the sharp contrast that you will find at the beginning of the speech and in the middle of the speech. So in the beginning of the speech, you found out I was here. I don't think you found that session very interactive and outpouring. But now I'm here with you because I attempt to establish a connection between what I'm saying now and you. I want you to be able to relate more to the points I'm making. I want you to understand the points I'm making. That is why it is problematic if you allow the focus of your presentation to be the slides. You get the point I'm trying to make? Your presentation is not a lecture. Your presentation is not some story. It should be in the form of a story, but it's not some ordinary story that people can find anywhere. There should be something. There should be that element that is lacking. That is why people pay money to come and see you, or that is why you've been called upon to come and make that presentation. Your project. Your lecturer could just decide to say, okay, make slides over the key elements of your project and let's look at it, and then we'll mark it and get back to you. The reason they call you to do a presentation is they want to get some understanding, a grasp of the issues that they can never ordinarily get from the text. Things are better expressed when they are explained, especially over and over again. So it is important that in the midst of your presentation, you don't fall or you don't do the numerous things that cause people not to be attracted to the presentation. You need to ensure you establish that connection with the audience, and when that is done, you're good to go. Please, I hope my point is made. So for connection, there are two things that you want to do, the call to adventure and the call to action. I explained this here. The call to adventure should come just after the beginning of your story. It should move the listeners to the middle, and then it begs the idea of what could be. So at the beginning of my speech, I said a lot of you are here because you want to improve your public speaking skills. The call to adventure I made to you was that if you gave me the luxury of time, if you gave me the benefit of doubt, and you gave me the platform to be able to inspire or mentor, if you like, then we could all live here as better people and well enhanced with skills of public speaking. So all of you here, at the beginning of my speech, after I said that, the hope is that there was an expectation that I was going to say something magnificent or something you've probably not heard anywhere else that will inspire you or will cause a situation, a seismic shift, where you're able to present effectively, you're able to engage effectively with your audience, and that is done. Also, you notice that I've been darting my eyes around, just looking at all of you, trying to establish eye contact. Eye contact is the best way with which you can communicate effectively with your audience, because when you're looking directly at someone, it's as if you're talking to their soul. Now I'm looking at you, it's as if I'm talking directly to you, but it's a room made up of a lot of people. When I look directly at you, just think about it. When you're on your phone and the lecturer comes to stare at you, you feel bad all of a sudden, right? Right? It's the same thing that applies. So when I continually make eye contact with you, what I do is I'm creating a sort of an aura of a conversation between you and I. So the presentation seems more like a personalized thing to do rather than a more generic thing, because people don't relate with the generic style of things. They relate when it's more of a personal relationship, when I'm talking to you, when it seems like I'm talking to you one-on-one. But I'm not talking to you one-on-one, but the picture is being painted as though I'm doing that because I'm looking directly in your direction. And you should be able to move around, and you should be able to balance. You don't stare too long at somebody. It's creepy, isn't it? When you find somebody staring at you for so long, isn't it creepy? So you don't stare so long at somebody. I mean, you are not trying to look into the person's soul. You're not some prophet. So you ought to be able to balance it and look around and ensure that people have your attention. So there's the call to adventure. And then the call to action, as I've already discussed that. But take note, even if you craft a good narrative, you know what a narrative is? So even if I come here and give a good monologue or a good story, there are obviously elements or there are obviously instances that listeners want to move away from what you're saying, because we are human. Our attention cannot be spellbound the entire time. And you can easily lose your audience if you're talking for too long, or the audience can begin to relate with elements of your speech that you've got into. So to find maximum audience engagement, you need to establish common ground. The first thing I did was I asked, how many of you were final year students? And I tried to relate that to the project. I also asked the kind of people that were in the room. So most of you are students. So I needed to establish, that is why I continually used examples of lectures and all of that, because you could relate with it. Because Monday you're going to sit in a lecture, right? Right? So Monday you're going to sit in a lecture and you can relate with this, and that is a very important point to in your own. Because, guys, it is easy for me to lose you as an audience if you think I'm some some person you don't even know and you can't relate with. But if you think I'm one of the people that can express things that are very close to you and things that are very important to you, then you're most likely going to pay attention to what I'm saying. So it's important to establish a common ground with the people. It is very easy to establish a common ground. Just know their interests, know the kinds of things that they like, and then they'll be attracted by you. So establish common ground, make sure you're communicating in a way that is well understood by everybody, and then make sure the audience can empathize with you, because when they realize they are on the same ground with you, they'll begin to care about the things you're talking about, and they will not do mean things like walking out of the presentation or sleeping and picking up their phones. Delivery. So from the get-go, I don't know if you're noticing, but most of the things that I have put here, I've tried to integrate with my speech, because what I'm doing right now is an audience engagement. So if I don't practicalize the things that I've put up there, there's no point putting it there. True? Yeah. So I said from the get-go, you need to interact with the audience. So you noticed, at the very beginning of my speech, I tried to talk to some of you, and I tried to ask for your names. The truth is, I don't remember any of the names that were mentioned now. But the point, when you mention your name to somebody, it's an opening ground. It's an establishment of some form of cordial relationship that may take on or that may happen in the near future. So it is important to be able to interact with the audience from the get-go. Let the audience know you're going to be speaking directly with them. You're not going to be doing some long, boring monologue. And that's you're going to be engaging with them and letting them understand the things that you'll be talking about. So remember that your presentation isn't a speech. There's no need to read information off a slide or a piece of paper. So if you notice, some of the things that I've said here, they were not on the slide. Have you noticed that? In fact, most of the things that I've said here, you won't find them on the slide. Because like I said, as for the slide, I can give it to you. You can take it to your house. You can go and read it. It's English language. You understand it. It's not that deep. But the most important thing is I need to be able to interact and communicate with you in a way that you understand and in a way that you can relate with. And instead, use your presentation to engage and analyze the audience. So what you can do is to show a short video, use repetition, summarize your thoughts in a short sentence or a slogan. So instead of dragging out your whole long, boring-ass speech, what you can do is to summarize your sentence you want to make or into a slogan. You can definitely make a call to action. So another thing you can also do is when you find people that are very relatable, you can just find some good slogans. So for instance, I can say masterclass, improve your public speaking. So let's try that. So when I say masterclass, you say improve your public speaking. Everybody should put on their microphones, please. So masterclass.
Improve your public speaking.
Masterclass.
Improve your public speaking.
Masterclass.
Improve your public speaking.
So that's an example of a slogan. And these are things that you can put off your microphones now. These are things that you always take away with you. And for all you know, those who are usually the biggest offenders when it comes to sleeping in presentations and not paying attention is the slogans that they remember. It's very difficult to forget a slogan. So for instance, what is the slogan below the Ghana coat of arms? Anybody? Please don't disgrace your social studies teachers. Anybody? Below the Ghana coat of arms, what's the slogan? Yes. Please put on your name. Rashad. Freedom and justice. How many of you went to high schools in Ghana? High schools in Ghana. Anybody? Just yes. So what school do you go to? Holy Child. So what's your slogan? I didn't hear you.
Factor non-verbal.
Factor non-verbal. Action, not words, right? Mm-hmm. So these are things that they were not written down in any book for you. I'm sure when you went to Holy Child your first few days, you were taught, and that was it. It stuck with you. It could never go away. I happened to go to one of Ghana's finest schools, and I can't forget my slogan. Our slogan is Dream Shekan, which is translated into Think and Look Ahead. And so those are the ways that slogans. What's the KNUST slogan? Or KNUST motto? Yes. So what does it mean in English? For those of us who can't speak the local language.
The knot of the wise is
it the knot of the wise?
Yes.
Knot
of wisdom.
The knot of wisdom is only untied by the wise.
Yeah.
You didn't take your first year orientation seriously. You should go back and do them. But so that is a way in which slogans can be very effective. It's very hard for people to lose slogans. So these are very broad tips that I've come up with. You can easily look at them very quickly. Use humor, as I've tried to do. Sometimes pause, and just let people reflect on what has been said. Talking too much, drumming things down people's ears, it can be a bit problematic. Make sure to take a pause once in a while. Make eye contact, like I've tried to do with most of you. Listen. So when people are speaking, listen. When you ask people questions, listen. I find it very offensive and problematic that you ask somebody a question, the person answers the question, and can you repeat your answer again? Because you're not paying attention. For somebody who is making a presentation on audience engagement and analysis, I think it's hypocritical for you not to be able to listen during the entire time of your speech. Use a numbered list or a countdown. Use bullets. Use numbers so that people can understand how far the presentation is going. People can know whether to be easily bored or to wait a little while before they are bored. Share someone's testimony. Use a metaphor, or you can even share your own testimony. So I remember a year and a half or so ago when I was here and I was teaching the art of impromptu speaking, I told a story of how I developed the art of impromptu speaking. It is a very interesting story. Maybe I'll tell you one day. But provide an example. So all I've tried to do with the questioning and answering is to provide an illustration of the things that I'm doing. Challenge them with the puzzle if need be. But this is a very touchy subject. It's not every demographic, like I indicated initially, that you can challenge with the puzzle. So you don't go to your project's defense and go and challenge your lecturers with a puzzle. Don't dare do that. It will suck you out of the room immediately. So, but you also need to know your audience. If you have a group of people that are very enthusiastic, very curious, it is very good to engage them with the puzzle. It keeps them interactive. And also be human. Accept that you make mistakes. Not all of us are perfect. You need to be able to highlight that. You don't need to paint a picture that you're untouchable, everything you say is sacrosanct, and it cannot be altered on, right? So, yeah, same thing. So finally, you need to match your tone of voice to the setting. What if I came here and I was shouting? What if I came here and I was shouting? A lot of you will be offended, right? A lot of you will be like, come on, why is this guy shouting? But you know, when you go to the churches and the pastor is in the spirit and he's preaching and he begins to, enter a certain dimension and his voice is restricting and all of those things. So you ought to be able to identify the people. How many of you are pastors and elders in your churches and all of those things? Please, I'm just making an example. But you realize that when the pastor notices that people are in the spirit, he goes to a higher tone. When the mood is solemn, he goes to a lower tone. So take Jesus as your Lord and Savior when the mood is solemn. But when people are cabin and speaking in tongues and saying they are reaching their seventh heavens and all of that, he also raises his voice to meet the demands of the setting. Michael has just taken you through vocal adjustments and all of those things. And I think that is very important. You need to match your tone of voice to the setting. If the setting is a cool, solemn atmosphere, your voice should reflect that, like today. So my voice has been generally solemn. I've tried not to raise my voice because obviously when you are teaching people stuff, it doesn't make any sense to be shouting. That's very difficult to relate to people in that regard. Also, do not pursue a monotone. Like I told you initially, in the beginning I was talking, hello, how are you guys? I hope you are fine, that kind of thing. Nobody is excited to hear things like that. You need to be able to modulate the tonation. You need to be able to vary the highs and lows, and then that will be very important. I don't think I need to spend much time on this. And so don't stand still for too long. Don't stand at one place for too long. And don't pace like a caged panther. You know what a caged panther does? How many of you have watched Black Panther? Black Panther. So you generally know what a caged panther is, or any caged animal, any caged wild animal. When you cage a wild animal, it goes up and down, left, right, front, center. So I'm making a speech to you. I go here, I come here, I go there, I come here. Because the focus is on me and not the slides, I occasion a situation where if I come here, you're all turning to look at me. If I go there, you're all turning to look at me. And this is not a circus, or it's not a live performance of some music track or anything. So the amount of movement you make on stage determines whether you are ably prepared for the speech or you're scared of the people that you're meeting. So what people try to do is they move around a lot to ensure that their fretting and all their scared tactics do not show. Try to avoid that as much as possible. Don't stand still at one place for too long. Once in a while, move, like I've tried to do, once in a while, move around. But then don't pace too much, don't move too fast, and don't move around quickly. Any questions? Any questions? Can we continue? Yeah. Please, we mention your name and microphone.
Please, I am Aduse, and my question is on audience research. So, can you help us on how we can conduct demographic check for electronic public speaking? Like maybe you are delivering a message through electronics.
So
How
maybe
do you-
Facebook Live or
Yeah,
YouTube
something
Live.
like that. How do you conduct demographics?
So for online, how many of you are like run social media pages? If you run a social media page, you would know that when you're making advertisements, you can target a specific demographic. So Facebook, YouTube, they have analytic tools that you can download using the internet that will allow you to know the kind of people, or that will allow you to specifically engage with the kind of audience target that you have. So as for online, electronically, it has been made very simple. You can make your research using the analytical tools. Just Google them. When you enter a search engine, that will. But also, the same principle applies, right? You obviously have a target market when you're going online. So if it's your YouTube page, you have your subscribers. If it's your Facebook page, you have your Facebook likes. So all of these should paint a certain picture of the kind of people that you should be expecting to tune in to your presentation. So for Joy News, for instance, Joy News has a very wide demographic: young, old people, strong, weak, all sorts of people watch and tune into Joy News. So Joy News tries to paint a picture that cuts across every demographic. You get the point I'm trying to make. So when you realize the kind of audience, or when you know the kind of people that follow you on your social media platforms, you should be able to tap into that feed and be able to tell what kind of things that demographic will be expecting. Unless you have a follow-up question. We're good? Yeah, sure. I'll take it.
Okay, pertaining to the choice of words.
I know your name, please. Please, when you ask a question, I need you to know your name.
Nah. Pertaining to the choice of words, especially when you are before, let's say, lecturers, okay. I need to be using please every time, please, because you don't want to sound, offensive. And also, what kind of gestures are you to portray so that it doesn't sound that you did this and it looked disrespectful or something like that? So.
Okay, so I'll take the last leg of your question, the gestures, and then when I finish, I'll go back to whether you should use overly polite language when you're doing your presentation. So the last leg, try to limit your gestures as much as possible. Generally, for all types of speaking, for all types, whether it's lecturers, young people, students, gestures can be very distractive. Right? So imagine, I did the last time, but I need to imagine if I came here and I kept doing this and just throwing my hand about, touching it's distracting. It takes away from the bigger picture, which is you. So as much as possible, try and limit your gestures to maybe just one hand, as much as possible. If you are a gesticulating person, that means you're somebody who likes to do a lot of gestures to illustrate your point. You need to limit it. Also, because of our cultural context, using your left hand can be deemed offensive when you're speaking to people. Like the way I do, I use my left hand a lot. So if you're aware of that particular context, and maybe but I like to think our lecturers are very progressive, right? They don't hold on to these things. But just to be on the safer side, it's advisable you hold a microphone with your left, and if you want to gesticulate, you do so with your right. It's easier for you. And also, so on the first leg of your question, on politeness, if you have to be overly polite, it's not the case. A presentation is not a platform to come and show your respect for your lecturer. No, that's not the point. Apart from just your respect, you can show your respect by being decorous in the presentation and doing an effective presentation. You don't have to say, so please, I'll take you through chapter 1 of my project, and please, you can also please. Really, it's not, and I'm sure any lecturer with his salt will find that a bit disturbing and distracting. The please, people use please as a means of giving them a lot more words to say. It's not really a necessary tool. You have to be, obviously, you have a way of approaching. So I have a way I can talk to you that won't seem offensive and that will seem respectful without using please. You get the point I'm trying to make. So please necessarily, as much as possible, try to avoid them. Another thing, let me add as I relate to your question, is try and avoid the use of fillers. So you know what fillers are? Fillers, anybody? You can turn on your microphone. You know what it is. So when you are making a statement, and so audience what? Research. know what, how. Okay, like those things are a bit annoying. Fillers are very annoying. When you're having a private conversation with your friends, it's okay to use fillers. But when you're doing presentations, try and reduce the amount of fillers as much as possible. Those kind of things, no. Try and limit, like what I just did. Those kind of things, no. Try and limit them as much as possible. Fillers they don't inure to your benefit. They are not a very strategic way of going about your audience engagement. Next question. Okay, she had her hand, so I'll take it.
I'm Stephanie.
Okay.
With PowerPoint presentations, the number of slides, with regards to making it boring or not making it boring, do we have a particular range, maybe 12 slides, 8 slides that you have to use in the corporate world to make your presentation okay?
So the first thing I'll tell you about a presentation is don't overpack the slide. So you don't want to write too much on a slide. Don't go and write a full essay on the slide. As for that one, is a no-no. But the second thing, on the number of slides, it depends really what you want to communicate. Maybe the point you're trying to make can be better expressed in several slides. You also need to know your time. So I knew I had 30 minutes or so to have a speech here today, and the number of my slides were 20. I could have gone on and on and on. I mean, it's English. You can write, you won't stop. So you need to know the minutes that you've been allotted. And so that is why it's always proper to plan before your presentation. So that maybe a little rehearsal will let you know the number of minutes you spend on each slide. And you can also time yourself. So that's what I've been doing with my phone. I've been timing myself to ensure that I don't spend too much time on one slide. And I'm able to cover each and every slide. So it's all a matter of practice and tactics. And also knowing what you want to do at the end of the day. If you know what you want to achieve, the number of slides really is not a problem. You can decide to go with only 5 slides and talk for 30 minutes. You can also decide to go with 25 slides and talk for 5 minutes. Really, it's not. But I in my experience, I have found that too many slides have the effect of losing people. Because the truth of the issue is people are more eager to see the last slide than the first slide. They are more eager to see the any question slide or thank you slide than the first slide. So if you keep delaying that any question slide or thank you slide, it becomes a bit of a problem. People lose interest in what you're saying, and then you're unable to sustain that conversation. So try and limit the number of slides, but it's also a matter of timing. You don't want to go to a speech that you expected or a presentation that you expected to speak for about 45 minutes and you have only 5 slides. Whoever you are, my friend, you disgrace yourself. You get the point. All right. I'll take you. You. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Wedam. She has actually asked one of my questions. My question is about the content of a presentation. On the average, how many lines should you have in a presentation? Because usually I prefer highlights and then you talk more of like out of your head. But some lecturers too will prefer details. So how about that?
Really, it depends on the point you are trying to make. So, for instance, in my overview, you can see my overview slide is very packed, right? Because I want to make a point to you about the poll that was run that determined that a lot of people don't pay attention. But if you look at the very next slide, there's only 3 lines. So the point I'm trying to make to you right now is that you ought to be able to balance both styles. It is not entirely the case that you only have to go with bullets and then explain. Because sometimes the bullets themselves may not help you. They may not provide enough leeway for you to jump on and explain. So if I'm telling you about a poll, a research work that was not done by myself, was not conducted by myself, I think it serves a better purpose if I put out what the findings of the research on the slide is. You agree? But if it's something I came up on my own, and maybe it's a slide I want to talk about, let's say introduction or speaker, I don't have to go and put my entire introduction there because I know myself. I don't need to put all of that in a slide. So things that you're very conversant with, you can decide to go with a style of bullets. But things that require a little more expatiation, a little more explanation, things that maybe they're not direct, maybe a quote or a source or maybe some research finding, it's important to put it out as it is and speak directly to that research finding. So you need to balance both. It's not entirely the case that you... So for instance, would you have had me just do a bullet and say, Harris conducted a poll? That's it. It doesn't paint a proper picture of the kind of elements I was trying to talk about. But the very next slide says, you have 3 key elements you need to look out for. And I think that creates a very good picture in this regard. So you need to be able to balance both, and then you achieve the utility that you want to pursue. Yes.
So, how would you advise us to psych ourselves up for an audience? Because you spoke about the audience research. You know that, okay, I'm going to talk to old people, but then you get there and you talk about things that probably they don't know. Some people are naturally rude, they'll just not mind you. I think it's not possible to get everybody on board. But then how do you go there knowing that, okay, you're not going to get everyone, but then like you're psyched up for the occasion? How would you advise us to psych ourselves up?
So the first point I need to make to you is that you can't make everybody happy. You're not ice cream. You can't make everybody happy. So obviously there'll be people here that will not be comfortable with maybe the way you carry it out. My hope is that everybody's happy with what I'm saying, by the way. But that is if you like, an idealistic point of view. So like you said, it's true. You meet people that are very unreceptive of the things that you're saying. But the most important thing is, I found over time that when you are ably prepared and you know your stuff and you're able to effectively deal with any question that comes your way, even if you like, I don't want to use this word, but even the people who don't support you or who don't like what you're saying in the audience, they do what we call an acquiescence. That means they just get used to you. So they won't heckle you, don't do anything that derails your presentation. So the psyche that you are asking about is effective presentation and trying to know a lot of things about them as much as possible. Because if you're speaking to, let's say, 80% of the people in the room, the likelihood of you getting a successful presentation is very high. But if you are not unaware about the people in the room and you're speaking to, let's say, only 10% of people that can relate to what you're saying, your success rate is likely to plummet. You get the point I'm making? So apart from all the other all the other speakers will be talking to you about that, so I don't want to necessarily double in that way. But the point I'm making to you is that no amount of psyche beats preparation. When you're ably prepared, when you know your stuff, and you're able to think on your feet, handling audience engagements is really not a problem. It's all down to preparation. Next question.
I think, sorry, your question will be the last one. You have questions for him. There will be a practical section, but he'll be leaving. So you be quick with your questions so that we have a lot of speakers waiting to come.
So I'll take the last 3 questions. That's all.
Okay, last 2 or 3. Yeah.
Okay, go. So you go.
Okay, please, I'm Rita. Please, I have a very, I don't know, it's a funny question. During a presentation, does it mean that you have to look attractive or presentable?
I like that you said it's a funny question, because it's a funny question. When you're doing a presentation, so you have to look presentable. If I was shabbily dressed and I came to stand here, none of you pay attention to me. That's the truth. And you don't have to overdo it, but there's a way of looking presentable. I'm sure all of you know that. You ought to try and reduce the amount of distractions that comes with people not paying attention to your speech. So if I entered the room and my shirt was dirty or my trousers was torn, that would be your focus. Like, this guy, he's come to stand in front of us with the torn trousers. You get the point I'm trying to make. So as for being presentable, there is a very important thing you need to do. So, yeah, thank you. Next question. Last 2, yeah.
Okay, please, with the audience analysis.
Your name?
Zion.
Zion.
Yeah. Let's say you are to attend an interview. You're in Kumasi here. The interview, you have to attend it in Accra. How do you do your audience analysis?
So in your interview letter, they'll tell you they'll tell you who is conducting the interview, where the interview is being conducted. And usually interviews follow a certain format. So if you do a lot of reading and researching, you find that interviews are usually conducted by high-level management staff, important people in authority that expect a lot from you. These are things that don't change anywhere, unless maybe it's an interview for a non-formal job. But usually for formal jobs, they follow a certain format. So if you read wide, if you read a lot, you should be able to know the kind of people to expect in that room. Know that people that are trying to ask you questions, maybe relating to your CV, your work experience, the things you did in the university, and that settles that. So obviously, as for interviews, it follows a certain general format. So there's also a lot of resources available on the internet that can prepare you. Interviews in Accra are not different from interviews in Kumasi, really. Interviews don't necessarily fall in that scope of things that we're talking about. But it's a broader picture. When you have to talk to more than 10 people, more than 15 people, a large audience, where the expectations may vary from person to person. That is where investigating, going deep down, letting whoever is inviting you to do the speech brief you on what to expect amongst the people, and that provides a good platform for you. Last question. Here you go.
So please,
what do you do when you find out that your presentation and the expectation from the audience are not coherent?
If I'm getting your question right, so you made a presentation, after you were done, the audience were not happy?
No, through the presentation, whilst you were making the presentation, you find out that your content and their expectations are not coherent.
So I find that that is a product of bad preparation. I find that in many instances, when you prepare adequately and you know the audience, you have a good grasp of what they expect, it's very unlikely to happen. But I like your hypothetical situation. That is where improvisation comes. So you ought to be able to improvise. Once you've been able to determine the audience are not connecting with what you are saying, that means you understand what the audience wants. Do you get the point I'm trying to make? You are making a point to the audience. The audience is not understanding you. They are not connecting with you. It means that you are getting the vibe, you are getting the effects that the things you are talking about are not relatable with them. That is where you ought to be able to think on your feet, and you ought to be able to balance the odds and ensure you come up with something that sits down well with them. And the presentation on impromptu speaking, one of our speakers will take you through that. So you will be able to better equip yourselves in that regard. I don't want to double into that fray. I hope that is okay with you. So that is more of an impromptu thing. When the audience is not engaging directly with the things you're saying, you need to move into the sphere of impromptu and deal with it on its head, and that becomes a very good thing for you. I hope that's okay. So thank you guys very much for your attention. We have tried to have a discussion on audience engagement and analysis. As I've said, preparation beats every kind of psyche that you want to enter. I feel like there are a lot of things that you can take away from here today. You need to be able to understand the people you're going to communicate with, ensure you connect with them, ensure your structure for your presentation is very well laid out. Use a lot of elements that inure to the greater conversation, allow the conversation to continue in a very good and successful manner. And you ought to be able to balance the odds. Like I've said in my concluding statement to his question, impromptu may also be a very good element you'd want to learn about. So I'm sure that will come in today's slide. Thank you very much for your attention. My name has been Joel Telfer. I look forward to seeing all of you once again next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joel Telfer. I think this has been a very productive presentation. Thank you very much once again. And next we move on to the art of impromptu speech, just like my brother up there asked a question pertaining to that. So our speaker he's Center Progressive. He was the public relations officer for the ESRC in the academic year 2017-2018. And he's a communication enthusiast. He's won various awards on various public speaking platforms and competitions. He is currently the coach for the KNUST debate team, as he spearheaded them to win the just ended Pan-African University Debate Championship. He is in the person of Jacob Atakwa. He will be taking us through the art of impromptu speech. Thank you very much. Let's welcome him on stage, Jacob Atakwa.
Hello. Yes, hello. A very good, is it morning or afternoon? It's still afternoon, right? A very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Jacob Johnson Atakwa. I think Francois introduced me as two-time national debate champion. It's something I pride myself in very much because it takes a lot to speak. And in speaking, you need to always talk to people. One thing we do, or one thing that doesn't come naturally to us, but we do a lot in life, is speaking or communication with a lot of people. So you may have to introduce yourself to somebody's friend. You may have to do a lot of things. Many times you don't prepare for those things. It's just out of the blue. Oh, meet my friend, and you have to introduce yourself. An act such as this one, or an act such as, hey, come and give us a vote of thanks at this program, even when it was not on the program lineup. Or an act such as, hello, please, can you show me the direction to the idea or this place? We don't prepare for those things in life because obviously, when you're walking out of your room, you don't think you meet somebody who says, show me where the Great Hall is. These things are what we call impromptu speaking because you don't prepare for them. It's just out of the blue. Regardless, you still have to make an impression and know that you know what you're about. Because obviously, if somebody asks you, are you a student in KNUST? And you say yes, show me where the Great Hall is, and you can't, the person will be in doubt. Are you sure you're a student? You're probably one of those boys from Asia who roam about looking for somebody to mug or anything of the sort. But importantly, you always need to make an impression. And it's very important because in this life, people normally remember the memories that they spend with you. So if you make a lasting impression on someone, they are very, very good with you. You maybe even become friends, or they'll remember you for the rest of your life. But one very big challenge with impromptu speaking is that because you do not have the adequate time to prepare, or you don't have the zeal to be able to do it, many people are scared of it. So you find that many people are scared of public speaking because they don't want to have to sit down and look into people's faces, or they have stage fright. Whenever they are there, they are scared of all those things. And particularly myself, I've had an experience with stage fright before. I wasn't this, should I say good? Yeah, I think that. I wasn't this good a public speaker when I started out this whole debate thing. I remember my first debate tournament somewhere in 2009. Yes, 2009. I had a debate, and back in the day, you know, the debate is the kind of debates we do back in the day is the one where they give you the topic and then you go and prepare for 2 or 3 weeks and then you come and debate. So that's the kind of debate I was doing, and I had my speech and everything prepared. So it was at the Ifa Sutherland Children's Park, and it was an open space. So the wind blew my sheets off, and then the sheets fell on the ground. And with the kind of stage that was, you can't walk around because you were scared, and there are old people there and all that, so you're scared to go and pick your sheet. And then my knees started hitting each other. I was scared. I don't think there's a word to describe what happened that day. But I managed to end my speech. Miraculously won that debate, and I was crowned champion and all that. But that's in the past now. So everybody may or may not have that experience when it comes to stage fright and speaking in front of an audience. You could see people who are extremely okay today, they're extremely good, giving the best speeches that you can think of. But it doesn't mean they don't have challenges. But the thing about challenges is you need to work in making sure that you overcome those challenges. So today what we are going to do is how to overcome challenges when it comes to public speaking. I'm sure some of you are waiting to see the slides that will be rolling up there and all that. But I thought that it's ironic that if I'm supposed to teach overcoming challenges of impromptu speaking, something that you're not prepared for, I'd use slides. Because obviously it's something that you're not supposed to be prepared for, so why use slides? So there are not going to be any slides. We're just going to do this one-on-one thing or one-on-many thing, and then we'll be done with it. I hope everybody's okay with that. Nice. The first thing about impromptu speaking is that this is something that every motivational speaker will tell you. You need to believe in yourself. As much of a cliche that is, it is true. Because obviously when somebody says that, show me where the Great Hall is, the first thing, if you really want to show the person where the Great Hall is, you need to know you know the Great Hall and you can show the person the Great Hall. So even if you use the unconventional means of 10 left, 10 right, 10 left, 10 right, and go, you still need to believe that those 10 left, 10 right statements that you're going to make are going to lead that person to the Great Hall. So the first thing, the cliche, what I want everybody to understand today is you need to believe that you know what you're about. So whether you need to introduce yourself to a friend, whether you need to give a great speech at the Great Hall where there are lecturers and the vice chancellor and everybody's there, the dean of students, everybody's there, you need to give a great speech. You still need to know that you can do it. That's the first thing. After that, sometimes you see that there are several kinds of impromptu speeches. The ones where there's a competition and the ones where it's just out of the blue. An example of the out of the blue one is the vote of thanks I spoke about, where they just call you to give a vote of thanks. Or a speaker at a program is late and then we cannot keep everybody waiting just like that. So they call you to just come and say anything at all. That's also the example. But there are ones where you have competitions. So in the kind of debates we do these days, British parliamentary debates, we also have a side competition of public speaking. So if you qualify for the next round, you're not given a topic, you're just given 1 minute. So when I mention a topic, 1 minute, and then the first contestant comes to speak. That's the kind we do right now. So after believing that you can do it, the next thing you do is have a formula of what you're going to say. In your head, you need to have a formula of what you're going to say. The same way when you're going to direct somebody to anywhere, you're going to give a vote of thanks. We know the formula for vote of thanks is, first of all, I want to thank the Almighty God and the likes. So you need to have a formula of what you're going to say. So when somebody says, show me the Great Hall, you don't start by saying, for example, if you're at IDL, you don't start by saying, when you reach Report, go straight. There has to be a formula. There has to be a sequence of it. So you start from where you are now. That is IDL Conference Center. When you get down to the main road that leads towards the Conti or Unity Hall roundabouts, that's where we're going to start from. So you can't start from rapport. So just like how life is, everything needs a formula. You need a formula of how things are going to work or how things work. So in impromptu speeches, after believing yourself, which is the obvious one, you need to have a formula in your head of what you're going to say. It's very difficult because in certain instances, there are things that you've not done before, like never ever done before. So when it comes to introducing yourself, say you meet your friend, two friends, and then one wants to introduce you. Of course, it won't be the first time you're introducing somebody. You've probably seen it in a movie or you've done it yourself before, so that is fine by you. But when it comes to totally different things, say a very new experience, a novel one that you've never ever done before, you still need to find a way of fitting in that situation. So then, obviously, you cannot know a formula for doing that one. So that is something that just creeps up on you, just like that. You need to learn to use an experience that you've had before. It may not be the same thing, but something similar. So life experiences are very important. So earlier, I told you about how when you meet people, the kind of ambience that you create for them is what makes them remember you for the rest of their life, or say the next 5 years or the next 10 years and all those things. So experiences are very important, even aside giving lasting impressions and all those things. You need to have experiences of your own. Things that you've done before, things that you've seen people do before, a book you've read, a movie you've watched, etc., etc., a poem you've probably seen somebody perform, and all those things. You need to have experiences of your own, even if they are not your own, of somebody's that you can relate with. So that's how things work. Experiences. So even if you've not done it before, you need to look for an experience at the back of your mind. And obviously, you cannot say as an individual, you've never had any experience before. You must have had an experience before. So you must know these kind of experiences, the kind of things that you've done before and all those things, or the things that you've seen somebody do before. And you need to try to apply those experiences in it. I hope from the way we are going, at the end of the day, somebody can give me an impromptu speech. Can somebody do that? Can somebody do that? I think I found who will give me that impromptu speech. So at the end of this session, I would call that person up to come and give that speech. Please, if we all agree, let me hear that we all agree. We agree, right? Good. So I have that person at the back of my mind, so after that, we'll do that. So, from your experiences, you get something at the back of your mind, and you fit it into that formula. When you fit it into that formula, and you come on stage, the next thing you need to do is what the speaker before me said, or what he talked about. I think I'm right. Audience engagement. That's what he taught, right? Yes. You need to engage your audience. The only way you can engage your audience is if you create an ambience that favors the two of you. So, I think he spoke a little bit about branding, about how you need to know how you dress to certain events. So this is a personal experience. When I was coming here, I came with an Uber. We all know what an Uber is, right? The app that allows you to get a car to take you somewhere. So I sat in the Uber with a friend of mine. He was also dressed formally because he's going to another formal event. And I told the guy, we're going to IDL. He says, where is IDL? I said, oh, it's close by Poolside. He says, okay. So when we get here, he stops at Poolside, that side, and doesn't bring me here. He didn't ask where's IDL. I didn't tell him. And I said, boss, but see the way I dress. You figure they go Poolside. And he said, oh, but you say it be Poolside. I said it's close to Poolside. When you look at all those things, you need to create an ambience. So let's come back to creating an ambience. When I come here, for example, I was coming to teach impromptu speaking. You don't expect me to dress in a tank top and jeans and sneakers and all those things. You need to look at the kind of program you're going to. So that ambience exists. You must be able to look at the kind of program that you're going to and dress accordingly. But importantly, you also need to know the kind of language that you're going to speak to those people. So if you go for a program, a very traditional program like Otumfuo's program, and obviously you're a Ghanaian, you're an Asante per se, and you go for Otumfuo's program, in as much as you are learned, you can't go and speak French at that program. Because obviously, it's a traditional program, Otumfuo's program. You can't go and speak French because many of those people revere their traditions. In as much as they know how to speak English, you need to speak a language that they can relate with. So you can't go to such a program and go and speak French or Swahili or any other language. You need to speak Chi. At best, they can excuse you if you speak English. That is ambience. You need to look at the kind of audience that you are going to address and address them in that regard. So you need to prepare your audience to listen to you. You need to prepare them for whatever you are coming to say. Create that ambience. Make them ready to listen to what you have to say. It's very important. Because if they are not ready to listen to what you have to say, everything you are going to say is going to be a waste of time. So in as much as some people will come here hoping to learn and all those things, if every speaker came here and just poof, started talking about irrelevant things, didn't create that ambience, nobody's going to pay attention. In as much as you came here to learn, you're not going to pay attention to what they have to say because the audience is not ready to listen to you. You need to create an ambience. It's very, very important. Because obviously, if you don't create that ambience, that opportunity, or that calm composure for everybody to listen to you, you're going to do a cross-90 work. Nobody's going to listen to you. Very, very important. So after your formula, after looking for an experience that you can speak about and fusing it in that formula, you need to create that ambience for everybody to be able to engage with you. Is that okay? Is that okay? I hope this is impromptu enough. Very well. The next thing you need to do is to create an organized speech. That is now the speech itself. You need to create an organized speech. I gave an example earlier about the direction thing. When you are given direction to a place, you start from your current location, your geographical position currently, before you move to that place. You do not start from the end and move back. You need to create an organized speech. And under this, what many people advise is that you start with an idea. That's assuming you're not giving directions. You're just going to give a random speech. Say, a speech on the geopolitics of, say, Eastern Europe, or something about the rise of terrorism, or security and instability when it comes to Ghana in recent times, or any other thing, any other topic that you're going to give out of the blue. It has to be an organized speech. You need to create a background everybody can relate with. So if you're going to talk about, say, recent vigilantism in Ghana, something of the sort, you need to mention certain names. Because I don't want to sound political or anything, I'm not going to mention any group, but we know the groups that exist, don't we? We know the groups, right? We watch the news and all those things. We listen to radio discussions and all those things. That's nice. So we know the groups that exist. So you cannot talk about that without mentioning those groups. You cannot talk about vigilantism in Ghana without mentioning those groups. It has to follow a sequence. It has to be organized. So you mention those groups, the thing the groups have done and all those things, whether they beat up certain individuals or did what, fired whatever, or whatnot, all the things that they did. And then you prove how those things are either good for a state like Ghana or they are bad for a state like Ghana. If they are good, then you tell people how we need to even reinforce them the more, whether we need to give them more arms, give them more ability to be able to operate and all those things. Then if they are bad, you tell us how we can stop them, either by legislative instrument like our president says, or consensus by political parties, etc., etc. So that is just a sketchy framework of what an organized speech will look like. You give a background of the problem of vigilantism, the causes or what brought about those problems, and then you give the solutions to those things. It's very simple. I hope that is very simple. It is, right? Good. So that's how to create an organized speech. You need to always give a background everybody can relate with. That is why when your lecturer is teaching or something, he says, do you understand? Because there's an introduction to it, and then there's all those things that follow up. That's how those things work. So when you do those things, it's called an organized speech. So people can easily follow your speech. When you start from the first minute right to the last minute and you end your speech, all those things work. So the next thing you need to do is to create an organized speech. You can fuse the experience and all those things into that particular speech because obviously that's why you need those experiences in your speech. So fuse them in and try to make people laugh with you and all those things. It's very, very good. That's a very good tip when it comes to public speaking. Try to engage the audience when it comes to humor. The last thing, the first thing I said is you need to engage yourself and believe that you can do it. But the next thing you need to do is have confidence in what you are saying. You need to have confidence in what you are saying. You need to have confidence in what you are saying. You need to have confidence in what you are saying. So many times when I was doing my undergrad and we had a presentation in class, when you are done your presentation, obviously, and then the lecturer wants to ask questions, the lecturers always pick on people who seem a bit shaky when they're asking questions because they think they don't know, even though it may be right. Of course, the lecturer will know whether the answer is right or wrong. But he always pick on you because he thinks that you can change your mind when it comes to the response. And those of you who watch quizzes, especially the National Science and Maths quiz, final answer. Because you don't seem confident in what you are doing. So the person will always want to push you to change your mind or anything. It's just a bait. It's a bait. It doesn't mean that what you are doing is wrong or anything. It's just a bait. They want to be sure that you know what you're about. So sometimes when people answer questions confidently, they may be lying, like maybe a very blatant lie, but they say it with so much confidence and make even you, who may know the truth, believe the lie that they are saying. It's not because they have any juju or anything about you. It's because how they go about saying those things. So you may know the truth yourself, but the person will tell a very blatant lie and you are forced to believe that person. You just have to believe them because of the way they sound confident in the lie that they are telling you. That's one thing about speeches, generally, not just impromptu speeches. You must be confident in what you are saying. You must believe what you are saying. Because the only way the other party can believe what you are saying is if, first of all, you believe it. So if you sound shaky, for example, you are giving somebody directions, and I'm very particular about this one. You are giving directions to a place, and you say, I forgot to know, is it left or right? You take left. Even if the person ignores by asking whether you're sure, when he gets to the junction that you made that so unsure prediction of, he's going to ask. He will ask. Even if, like, above all else, he may believe you at the end of your direction. He's going to ask at that junction, whether he's supposed to pass left or right. Because you didn't sound confident in what you were saying. You were so unsure of it. So when you're so unsure of it, you make whoever is listening to you also unsure of what you're saying. So at the end of that direction that you're going to give, when he gets to that junction, he's going to ask, do I pass left or do I pass right? Not because he doesn't believe your credibility, but you sounded so unsure when you're giving that description to him. So obviously he's going to ask. So let's go through all the things I've said again, and after that, I'll add a couple of tips. I said the first thing is what? Is what? Believe yourself. Like I said, the motivational speakers will say, believe yourself. When you believe in yourself, you can do anything. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it isn't. So believe in yourself. Believe you can deliver that speech, and you are already there. I said the next thing is to what? I can't hear you. You have to. Good. You have to have a formula of what you're going to say. And in that formula, you need to keep an experience. That experience counts because it can either make or make you. So the experience, of course, must relate to what you are saying. And the next thing is to what? Engage the audience. Yes, I said engage the audience and create an ambience. Is that right? Engage the audience, create an ambience. Let them be willing to hear what you have to say. Because obviously, if they're not willing to hear what you have to say, you're doing a cost 90 work. And after that, you create an organized speech. There has to be sequences when it comes to what you have to say and what not. So there has to be a sequence. You have to start from somewhere and end at somewhere. You have to make the person be able to follow you from the first minute to the last minute of your speech. And finally, you need to what? Have confidence. So these ones are general ones. But let's get to some specifics. There's a school of thought that thinks that if you want to have a very good or make a very good speech, what you need to do is you need to keep it short and simple. So you've probably heard people say KISS before when they are teaching public speaking or something. Keep it short and simple. I have a different school of thought to that, even though I think sometimes it works. It doesn't work always, but sometimes it works. I have a different perspective to that. Because I think that those things work in presentations. Because when you're doing your project defense and all those things, you have slides and all those things. You have it very, very short and like very, very small. So that when you do those things and you say the things or you read the things out on your slide, then your lecturer will ask you questions and then you have the chance to be able to explain those things. But I think that you always need to whet the appetite of your audience so that at every point in time, they can want more of you. So if you come and give a very short, simple speech today, and it's not so thrilling, it is not so wow, it doesn't wow your audience, the next time you're going to deliver a speech or something of the sort, nobody will mind you. And that's one formula that the spoken word and poets and those people use. They always want to make you want to hear more from them, so that the next time they're on this bill and you're supposed to pay 2,000 cedis to come and watch them for 2 hours, you're going to pay that amount of money because you always want to hear them. You always have to give people who listen to you or who want to listen to you a certain experience that they will never forget, that they will always want to hear more from you. They always want to. Because when you give them a lengthy speech, it depends. When you give them a lengthy speech, you give them things that they want to hear, the kind of experiences that you have, and how you've gone through a certain procedure, or how you think this scope of thinking exists. For example, myself, I'm a center progressive. So when I give you my opinion of the world and how I think people should not always have one political leaning, you'd want to hear more from me, because you hardly see people who are centrist or who are progressives. You see that you are conservative or you are liberal and all those things. So you always want to hear more from people like me because of the experiences that we have or the life choices that we've made. So it's not always keep it short and simple. Sometimes you have to be extensive enough, because you never know. In as much as you want somebody to hear from you again, you never know if that's the last time you are going to encounter that person. So you always need to give a lasting impression. And like I always tell people I meet, that impressions always count. Because the only way somebody is going to recommend you to somebody is the kind of impression that you give that person. So if I meet you today and I'm a nice person, or I seem able to do this thing, the next person you're going to meet who has a similar problem, you're going to recommend me to that person. That's so, right? So if you don't give a good impression of who you are or what you are about or what you do, and let the person know that you do very well at it, obviously, that's what's going to happen. You won't get any recommendation. That is why recommendation letters come from people who have experiences with you. Normally, in recommendation letters, you state how long you've known a person and in what capacity, because you must be able to tell the kind of experience that the person has. So if it's a long one, you give that person an experience they will never forget. So even if they don't have the opportunity to listen to you again or to encounter you in any aspect of their life again, you've given them a very good impression of yourself, something that they will hardly even forget about you. But another general thing, or general, yes, it's general, but it's generally specified or specific when it comes to giving issues of speeches at competitions and all those things. Say when you go for a program and there's a public speaking competition, it's not so general, but first of all, you need to have an idea. So if you get a topic like, say, you are, I don't believe so much in gender-tailored issues, but say you're a woman and then your topic is, I wish I were a man. And it's a public speaking competition and you need to speak on something like that. You need to give a background or something, a general idea of what it is. Tell a story. When you finish telling that story, because people normally like stories a lot, and humor. 9 out of 10 people always respond well to humor. So when you give that story and it's humorous enough, and you link it back to your idea, it always works. It works in every instance. But one thing about stories is you need to tell real life stories, not exaggerate stories and out of the blue things that people will not be able to believe. You need to give people stories that they can believe and all those things. So you give an idea, you give a story, and you link the two together. By the time you link the two together, everybody is happy to listen to you, and you can even end your speech there. They would want more, but then you have to tell them to come for the next competition to listen to you again. That's how it works when it comes to impromptu speaking. So at the end of every speech that you give that is impromptu, you need to make the person want to listen to you more. So even if it's vote of thanks, you need to be so fluent that even when you just say you want to thank the Almighty God, you say it in so nice a way that the person wants to listen to you again. Probably your voice is a nice one, or your voice may be coarse. But the kind of things you say would want the person want to listen to you more again. So generally about speeches, you need to make people crave for you. It's very important. People need to be craving for you at every point in time. So these are general things that you need to know when it comes to impromptu speaking. They are specified at a certain point in time, but they work for every impromptu speech that you have. So when you are faced with any problem, first thing you need to do is believe in yourself. I don't want to sound like a motivational speaker, but I have to say it. You need to believe in yourself. Believe in what you have to say, and I think you'll be halfway there. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes, please. I'm listening.
Thank you very much, sir. Please,
it wasn't your turn, no?
Okay.
I thought you'd want to give him the opportunity. Anyway, any of you can speak. I'm listening.
The concept of impromptu speech is that it's impromptu, like you didn't prepare for it. So all you've said now, it just seems like it's not something you can do on the spur of the moment. Like if you just call me now, just come and talk about this. Basically have like maybe 2 minutes to walk from here to this stage. So how do I do all these things that you've listed at that spur of the moment?
I don't know how difficult it is, but I can remember a story, like an absolutely random story right now. Like right now. Like I said, experiences must not necessarily be something that you have gone through. It could be something that you've seen happen. So when you need to Of course, when it comes to the confidence part in yourself, you need to always walk around being confident. People may mistake it for arrogance and all those things, but that's what works for you. You must be confident at every point in time. So you don't not be confident when you're sitting down and then all of a sudden, when you're called upon to give a speech, then, okay, I'm confident, I can do this, I can do this. It doesn't work that way. Does it? It doesn't work that way. Because maybe whatever spurs your confidence, whatever spurs that confidence, or whatever ignites that confidence may not exist at that point in time. So you have to find a mechanism that will always make you feel that you're confident. So people feel confident when they are, say, they stand out, when they do certain things that make them stand out. So in an occasion where everybody is in suit and tie, they are wearing African prints, they are odd. It makes them confident. But what if that day you're not the only one wearing African print? What happens? Does it mean your confidence is in your back pocket or you left it at home and didn't bring it to the program? It can't work that way. So at every point in time, you need to make sure that that confidence exists. And I don't know how, but when I told you that story of my way back debates thing, when my legs were shaking, it's a promise I made to myself that I shouldn't find myself caught in that situation again. Because I don't know how to describe that, but it was so embarrassing that I was standing at the stage and my legs were shaking and I'm looking at the paper, but I can't go for the paper to come and continue the speech. It was so embarrassing. But after that moment, I made a promise to myself that it mustn't happen again. And I think one thing that helped me is I managed to deliver the speech till the end. That I managed to do it. And when I did it, we won. So I don't know if it added something so extreme to me that, guy, whichever situation that you are in, you can still push above. And you were able to do those things. So I think these things are things that you have to practice on a daily. So in order to be a good speaker, or in order to give good impromptu speeches, you must be a good speaker. That is something that exists. You can only be a good speaker if you practice it every time. So you see people, or this is something that many people do. Sing in the shower. How many people do that? You do that. Many people do it. I have a friend who, we always laugh at him that he sings one full album before he's done taking his bath. He's a very good speaker anyway. That's just by the way. But you need to practice these things. Sometimes you can practice by just standing in front of your mirror and deliver a random speech. That's something I do. I don't even need to stand in the mirror. Sometimes I'm walking and I remember something that I read that is of so much meaning to me. Say, I read about ISIS, terrorism in the world, and I want to, because I debate. And the kind of debate I do is not the one that they give you the topic for 1 month or 2 months or 3 weeks or something. It's the kind of debate where today is the competition. The teams are sitting here. I read the motion, and then 15 minutes time, we have to start the debate. So the only way you can win such a debate is if you are wide-read. So you need to read a lot, you need to watch a lot of videos, you need to keep yourself updated and know that today this is what's happening in Venezuela. Some weeks ago, there was an uprising in Sudan. Some weeks ago, there was an uprising in Zimbabwe. All these things are things that you need to know, like off-book. You always need to know them. So at every point in time, you must be updated. It's the same way with public speaking. At every point in time, you must be practicing. So today, say you are walking to class and you are practicing a speech. Somebody will probably look at you and say, this person is mad. How can you be talking to yourself on the way? But you know what it gives you. You know the kind of satisfaction it gives you. You know how you're preparing yourself for the future. So these things are things that you practice every time. And do not take experiences for granted. If you see any funny experience, it's not just because it happened for the fun of it. You need to learn from that experience and see how you can better it. So I hope I've answered your question on how you need to practice every time. So it's not just within the space of those 2 minutes that you do all these things. It's something you need to be doing over time. And you realize that normally people who give vote of thanks are people who many times of all the programs that attend and give vote of thanks, they don't suffer with it. Because they just come and give it. They practice it. So at every point, and we know, I don't know, it's not a good thing, but it's always they always let women give vote of thanks. I think it's a bad thing. It shouldn't be done anyway. But it's something that happens. I think we shouldn't limit it to women giving vote of thanks and all those things. But it's something that happens and it's not a good thing. Because I don't think vote of thanks should be gender specific. Anybody can give vote of thanks. So yes, people practice, and when they practice, eventually they become good at it, and it's a good thing. So you need to practice every time. It's not just that those 2 minutes that you do those things, but practice every time and you'll be fine. Is that okay? Good. Next question.
Okay. Please, you will see that in some circumstances, people will be like, please, this is quite impromptu, so I may not flow as you wish. Is it okay saying that?
You need to get the people, the audience in an ambience for you. So if somebody knows he's not a very good public speaker, of course that is going to be his excuse. That is impromptu, so don't expect the best from me. And people say, okay, he's not good at it, let's cut him some slack. Even if he doesn't do well, it's fine. Sometimes he's just buying time to be able to prepare. Sometimes he's just buying time. So at the time when he's telling you, oh, this is impromptu, I was just called of it, and I didn't even prepare, all those times he's preparing his head on what he should say and how he should say it and all those things. Sometimes he just puts you in the ambience because probably he knows he's not a good speaker, so let's just go with the flow, just like that. So, and that kind of thing, space filler is not exactly the same thing, but space filler, those kind of things, people use them to prepare, like, on the next word that they should give and all those things. So, yes, it's a strategy people use. Sometimes because they know they are not going to deliver so well, so they need to prepare people for the quote-unquote failure, or they're just using it to buy time to prepare in their heads how they are going to make it work and all those things. Any other question? Yes, I'm listening to you.
My question is, how do you manage a topic that maybe you've been given? You were talking of the debate situation. So maybe we are in an engineering sector, then maybe we are talking of, let's say, some electronics. Then just at the go, I'm given a topic about some social science. Then I have very less knowledge about it, but I don't want to mess up. It's very big. I don't want to mess up. So how do I manage like the knowledge that maybe if I have 15 minutes, maybe I can just read a little about it. And maybe because it's so much out of scope, I don't have very much concrete evidence on it. So how do I manage such an environment?
This world is a complex system. And for those of us who did the sciences, we know what systems are, right? I don't know if the sciences people are here, but I did a bit of science too, so I'm fine. It's a complex system. So everything is intertwined. So you cannot live in this world and know only engineering or know only this. Like I told you earlier, the kind of debates we do is the one that you have 15 minutes to prepare for. So if all you know in this world is something related to social sciences, and they bring you a motion on artificial intelligence, you are probably going to be fourth, and nobody likes losing. So you need to always read around. But the thing about this world is, because it is a system, there are ways in which one part of that system interacts with the other. So you're an engineering student, and then they say, come and give something about social sciences. I would think of social engineering. You know it's a word, right? Social engineering. How we make conscious efforts to make people think in a certain way or make people act in a certain way. That's what I would think of. I don't know what you would think of, but I would think of. But like I said, you always need to practice. You always need to read wide and know a lot of things. So for example, as an engineering student who says you are supposed to give a speech on the social sciences, if you know nothing about it at all, it's going to be very difficult for you. But you always need to find a way to relate what you know to what you don't know. It's something you can always do. So an experience, a story of how engineering helped you meet somebody and say, like, become very good friends with somebody. That's social relations, becoming friends with somebody. So you taught somebody an engineering term, or you give them a trick about engineering or something. It's something simple with like relationship, and that's a social science. That has to do with social sciences. So it's very simple that way. But sometimes also, you cannot do that within the spare of that moment because obviously it's impromptu and you know nothing about it. Well, the thing is, you cannot not always know nothing about stuff. That is why my advice is you read more and get more enlightened so that even if you are somebody who is in the sciences, you know a lot about IR, you know a lot about politics, you know a lot about philosophy and the likes. So my advice to you is, if you are that kind of person, which I don't know, you need to read wide. You need to like seek people's opinions, like seek opinions outside where you are, your scope of knowledge. Because for somebody like me who did the sciences, I still know a lot about other things that exist in this world. So this is something you may not know, but we're backstage and we're having discussions about the world, about Venezuela and all those things. Some of us did sciences, some of us did the arts, but we're having a fruitful conversation. It's because many of us endeavor to not be limited to what we study in the classroom. That's how the world works. Not be limited. And that's how the job market is these days. You hear people tell you that your degree is useless when you go into a job market. Actually, it's not entirely true, but sometimes it's true. You don't really get a job based on what you study in a class, but what you can do at that job, at that workplace. That's how it is. So try as much as possible not to be limited by what you study in the classroom, but read wide, be knowledgeable, be wide-read. It's very good. So that would be my advice for you. Is that okay? Nice. Any other question? Yes, I'm listening to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My question is not specifically for public speaking. Let's take, for example, you're a businessman and you encounter someone and you are selling a product. So during a conversation, you realize that the person raised up an issue which actually concerns the product you are selling, but you do not have the in-depth knowledge in whatever he's saying, so it looks like contradict what you are talking about. And at that instant, you have to make a way out so that he may believe in what you are talking about. Do you disagree with him? Because you have to provide, it's something that is impromptu. You have not prepared that thing will pop up. And that is what you have encountered. So what do you do at that moment to convince that client to actually agree with what you are saying, or in a way made him believe that you are not deceiving him? Or
when you move into the business world, especially for service providers, that is the new revolution that is in the business world right now. There's this saying that the customer is always right or the client is always right. You never put the client in a situation where they feel stupid, because you need to retain that client. First of all, I think it's problematic that you're advertising a product and you have very little knowledge about it. It's not good. Obviously, when you set out on a course of business or anything, you need to be well-read on that. Even if you don't want to read outside your scope, you need to be well-read on that. But let's assume that that is the situation that you are in right now. And that situation demands that you not make the clients feel stupid, but you also keep the client. You need to find what we call a deflection of the issue. You need to deflect the issue. So you need to make it look like he's making sense, but you also need to make it look like you are right. So you could say, oh, you are right. There is this very little problem with the product that I'm selling, but there is this added incentive of this product that overshadows that. So in as much as it may be faulty, there's a warranty. So for example, you are selling a standing fan or any electronic appliance. You know those things come with warranties, right? So he will say, oh, I have a friend who's used it and for 2 weeks it got spoiled. Assure him that there's exists warranty. So it could not, probably it's not the fault of your appliance that you are selling. Probably an electrical fault or their wiring or something went wrong. But you need to not make him look stupid. Even if you are not there and he's probably telling a lie that the appliance went faulty, you need to reassure him, oh, there is warranty that covers all these things. So assuming that the worst happens and our very, very good product gives you a fault, we have warranty that covers it. So say there's a 3-year or 2-year warranty, and then you decide to cover that up for him. But never make sure your clients feel stupid for talking to you. The client is always right. Not as much as it is not true. In the logical world, it's not true that clients are always right. Sometimes the clients are wrong, because I'm a client. I know sometimes I'm wrong. The client's not always right. But you need to deflect the issue sometimes. You need to make it look like your issue is a legitimate one, but there are other things that covers your issue. So it should not be something you should be bothered about so much. You get what I'm saying? So always try to reassure your client that what you have is the best, but never make him feel stupid. Never, ever make him feel stupid. Are you okay? Nice one. Any other questions? Yes, I'm listening to you, sir.
Okay. So, in some instances, you want to be aware that you have to talk on some topic or something. But you'll be sitting down, and what you know is they've called your name. Let's say, Zion, come and talk about this. But for them to mention your name, let's say, Zion, for me hear my name, like Zion, then it sounds like my stomach will be burning. Like, so in this instance, what should I do? Like, what should I do? How do I control myself or something? Because I don't know that I'm going to talk on this issue. But I'll be sitting down and say, like, Zion, come and talk about this. And that instant, it's like you'll be shaking and that stuff. Yeah.
Your name is Zion, right? Zion, I think your problem is probably stage fright. That should be, I think, from the little you've told me, that's the diagnosis I can give. That's problem is stage fright, that you're scared of speaking in front of people or something of the sort. Yes, you're scared
to speak in front of people or to face large audiences and all those things. It's a confidence problem, and I don't think I've not heard of it that there's any drug, whether syrup or capsule, that cures that. I don't think there's that. But you always need to reassure yourself. One of those ways is the shower thing I spoke to you about. Always practice in a shower. Look into a mirror. Look at yourself and say, yes, I can do this, and all those things. Those are things that you can use to overcome it. Those are like the best pills you can use to overcome it, because there's no physical drug I can tell you. But just look into the mirror and practice. Like, just give abstract speeches. Sometimes you can just or there are speeches there are speeches online. Like, President of the United States has given a speech. It's online. There are online speeches. You can just write those online speeches. Try to memorize it. Stand in front of your mirror and recite it. Or possibly in a shower, you recite it. You can even close your eye and recite it. Try to give it extempore, just like that. And you'll be fine. Because there's no physical medicine I can prescribe for you. This is the best I can do for you. You need to reassure yourself that you can do it. You need to practice. So stand in front of the shower, in the mirror, stand in the shower and practice. When you're going to lectures, just practice. Even if you cannot speak out loud, just keep reciting the stuff in your head, like you did when you were in primary school. Speech and prize giving day, when you have to go and give a poem. You need to recite it like that, and you'll be fine. Okay? Zion, you'll be fine. Anyway, any other question?
Please, for the sake of time, I think we'll hold on with the questions for now. When we get to the practical sessions, you can ask him a lot more questions. So I think that'll be all for now, as long as the art of impromptu speeches is concerned. Thank you very much, Mr. Jacob Atapa.
Thank you, Kemo, and thank you for having me and listening to me. I'll see you later.
Yeah, to add something little to what he said, that's something I learned a couple of years ago, as long as the art of impromptu speeches is concerned. Just like the way he asked the question, in case you are called anytime to talk about something, the speaker made mention of a formula that you have to use. There's no clear-cut formula for art of impromptu speeches, but all I know is that there are 5 W's that you follow, W's, 5 of them, and I'd like you to write them down. The first one is what you've been asked to talk about. What you've been asked to talk about, that's the topic. And then who that particular thing affects. Who that particular thing affects, or who is the reason behind that particular thing. I don't know how to explain it more. And then the next W is where that instance is happening, where it's happening, where. And then the next W is why it's happening. So I've said what, who, where, why, and that's 4, right? Okay, so if you are given a topic to speak on, like talk about teenage pregnancy or galamsey, talk about anything, this format is supposed to give you a little clue. You just move one after the other, one after the other. You talk about the topic, that's the what, and then where that thing is taking place in the world, who it is affecting, why you think it is affecting, why you think that particular thing is happening. I think there are 4 actually. There are 4, right? Is it 4? Okay, yeah, I think there are 4. So I don't know if I've given you a little clue about how to go about impromptu speeches, in case you are asked to talk about any topic. I hope I'm a bit clear with that. Yeah, it's going to go a long way to help you if you follow this simple format. What it is, where it's happening, who it's affecting, and then why you think it is, happening. Yeah. So next we move on to a short, talk by a very astute individual, a communication enthusiast for that matter. He's the CEO of Pencil Group and Apple's Kitchen. I don't know if you've heard of it anywhere on campus. And then he's a transformational leader. He has really helped a lot of students to become the good and better version of themselves as long as leadership and student politics is concerned. And He's here just to share with us how he transformed from an ordinary individual to becoming a very great individual as long as public speaking and writing skills are concerned. So without much ado, please let's welcome on stage Kofi Akon. He goes by the mantra, that boy from Africa. He really believes that Africa is what it is. Africa should really move ahead in life and in the world, and then take the world to the next level. The paradise we are all looking for in this world is supposed to come from Africa. That is what he lives by. So let's welcome Master Kofi Akon. The microphone is there.
Hello? Francois, what did you say about me? Who am I? Did you mention that I was the one who trained the current Kenya State SRC president? Okay. Thank you very much for the wonderful opportunity. I would say a great work on the part of the organizers, and then whoever made it to be here today. You know, not so many people would have the time to engage in activities such as public speaking training. You could all bear with me by the numbers that I gathered here today. I would want to welcome you and then let you know that you are here for the very right reason. And so let's learn together. It's going to be an interactive session, and we're all going to learn together. And I'm supposed to tell you about my experience, how I managed to transform from somebody who was shy, not able to talk in front of people, not able to even have one-on-one interactions with people, even in colloquial conversations, and for the transformation from there to this point where I am well able to stand in front of you and address you, to this point where I'm able to train student leaders, youth leaders, those who go for positions. The transformation from there to this point where I sit on a lot of interview panels and a lot of vetting panels, it's been a whole learning experience. So I want to share with you my experience from there till now, and then we'll see what we can all learn from it. Can we interact? Okay, so who amongst us is shy? You're shy. Francois, are you shy? Shy of what?
I don't know.
Can I? You are shy. Please, what are you shy of?
Anytime I come in front to speak, I become shy.
Anytime you come in front of people to speak. Yeah. Okay, have you sat down to analyze why it happens that way?
I have the feeling within myself, my heart keeps pounding in a beat, like
that you can't. You feel that when you stand in front of people, you collapse.
No, I manage, but I don't really get fluent as I supposed to be.
Okay, please, you. The lady.
Yes.
Your name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie. Okay, so why are you shy?
I'm shy when I get to see a lot of people. I will be able to talk, but my voice will be a bit shaky.
There's a lot of people.
Yes.
Your voice wasn't shaky.
For
and
me,
you're obviously
shaking.
not shy.
For me, it's shaking.
Okay.
But not for you.
Okay. Okay. So have you sat down to analyze why that happens?
My mom told me I have to build my confidence more. That's
Okay.
what she told me.
Okay.
So I'm working on it.
Okay, so what are some of the strategies that you use to build your confidence?
Most of the time, I try to give myself speeches. I stand
Okay.
in front of my mirror, or I make my roommates the audience,
Okay,
and then we chat.
okay.
That is what I do most of
Okay,
the
that's fine. So after I'm done with the first session, we're going to have a practicalized practical session where I could point to anybody at all, then would try and then think on our feet and deliver something. Are we cool? I could mention anybody's name. Augustine, why are you shy?
Mine is about the fear of making mistakes,
Okay.
Where I'll be mocked with it. Sometimes that will be your name forever. That's one thing that I...
Okay, like the former president, may so rest in perfect peace, saying a comedy.
Yes.
And the people were calling him a comedy.
Yes.
Or
that thing scares me a lot.
The certain president of this country of ours, borrowing some words from some of the American politicians, and then they calling him a plagiarism. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, you.
Mine, always when I move to bigger crowds, like people that I see, I always think maybe they are very more intelligent than I am. Then maybe I meet people who I know that they are very good at my field. So when I come out to deliver to them, I always feel like, hey, me, like compare myself to them. So I'm always shaky.
Okay. Why do you compare yourself to other people?
Well, because I know what they can do.
And you know what you can do too?
Yeah, I think I know what I can do, so.
I see. So all of us seated here, in one way or the other, have our own personal challenges towards the art that we call public speaking. Now, first year boy, back in the day in tech, when I came to school, I was shy. I mean, I couldn't talk to anybody. I remember one time a lecturer called me in front of a class to come and present on something, and I almost froze. Freezing, like froze. And I couldn't utter a word. I just stood there sheepishly for some time. After some time, the lecturer asked me to go and sit. I went to sit, and when I got to my room, I cried. Yeah, I've never seen a boy who cries before, yeah? I cried. And then I asked myself, so what can I do to overcome this? You see, the first step in understanding yourself as a person, in appreciating your strengths and your weaknesses, is to accept that there's something wrong with you. Acceptance. If you're unable to accept that there is something wrong with you, you're not able to make the effort you have to make in order to correct what you know in your own heart of hearts is wrong with you. The first thing is to accept you for who you are. You accept your flaws. Because the truth of the matter is that all of us, in one way or the other, started off being imperfect, right? There was a certain man back in the day, I think in the 18th, by name, what is this man's name? Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was the first person who, combined all the blacks in the United States to pursue one agenda, to liberate themselves. Now, when Marcus Garvey started speaking, he didn't start as somebody who was good, somebody who was better than anybody else. He started as a random person. Now, the first day he stood in front of people to speak about the need for them to come together to fight oppression in the United States. He froze, like what I did back in Tech first year. He virtually collapsed on stage. Then they came to pick him up. Now, this is what Marcus Garvey did. Each morning, when he wakes up, he will tell himself that, no, I'm a good public speaker. 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 He made the effort to learn. The next time, when he stood in front of people to speak, he had following. Practice. I'm not somebody who believes that practice makes perfect, because truly, none of us can truly be perfect. But I know, based on my own personal experience, that practice improves performances. So, if you realize, even those people who are good speakers, somebody like Barack Obama, he wakes up each morning before every speech day. He wakes up at dawn, he practices and practices and practices till the time of the speech is due. Even he, who is a pro, how much more us, people like us. So practice. Practice. You have to be able to find every least opportunity to improve on yourself. It may not matter whether you are good or not. It may not matter whether you're able to speak coherently or not. You just have to start from somewhere. The best way to start swimming is to what? What is the best way to start swimming? What is the best way to learn how to swim? Come again. It's swimming. The other best way to learn how to swim is to enter the water. It is to swim. I mean, you can't sit and then try to imagine you swimming. Yeah, you just have to enter the water and swim. Right? So you have to make that conscious effort to practice each and every day. Each and every day. Each and every day. Because when you do that, it gives you the confidence. It gives you the confidence. Now, there was a time in India when a man by name Gandhi. Now, Gandhi didn't have any political tool. He wasn't a politician, he wasn't a military leader, he wasn't even a strategist. Gandhi was just an ordinary man who decided that he would use the power of words to shape the destiny of his country. Now, when Gandhi spoke, 200 million people, 200 million Indians followed him, joined together to follow him to push for the freedom of the Indians. You see, in those days, India was under the protectorate of Britain. So they had to fight for independence. And Gandhi was their leader. When you see Gandhi and you look at him, he's not anybody who you describe as fine. He wasn't a fine boy. But he was able to use the power of his words to get people to get 200 million. Never in the history of mankind has anybody used his words to get that huge number following. 200 million. Even Jesus Christ, in all his glory, 200 million, no. The power of words. Now, my point is that before you're able to, appreciate or become a good public speaker, you have to be able to understand the role words have to play in the lives and the lives of other people. Now, there's an incident that happened back in the day in my village. I grew up from a village, and there's this woman who was always telling the kid that you You won't even get to your 18th birthday before you enter the prison. You won't even get to your 18th birthday before you enter the prison. The boy was very recalcitrant. Trust me, he was my friend. And so whenever the mom sent him, he would go and play and not return home until night. He was somebody who would cause trouble here, and then he'd go outside, go and cause trouble. They come and complain to the mom. So the mom, out of frustration, almost constantly, was telling the boy that you won't get to 18 before you enter prisons. Friends, on the boy's 16th birthday, he was arrested. Now, it could be for the reason that it was due to what he did. That's why he was arrested. But when you study the background of the situation, you find out that it's what the man was always telling him that fell into his mind and entered. And that became a part of parcel of his makeup. And so whatever he got the opportunity, he felt that, okay, what's the worst that could happen? Let me just mess up. The power of words. We have to be able to appreciate the kind of things words can make us do. We can use words to shape the lives of people for the better. We can use words to kill people. I mean, it happens. During Hitler's time, the 6 million Jews were killed, 5 million Germans were killed, a lot more people were killed through the power of words. Right? So in order for us to, before you become a very good public speaker, you have to understand the impact of words and how we can use that to shape the lives of people. Now, how do you prepare a speech? This is where we enter the practical session. Can I get somebody to rescue me? How do you prepare a speech? How do you begin preparing for a speech? Assuming you are asked to come and stand here, you've been called to come and stand here to deliver a speech today. How would you prepare? Any volunteer? Should I mention names? Boss, how do you prepare?
I will just answer from the little experience I just got a few minutes ago. First, the idea. You get the idea. Secondly, you organize yourself. Thirdly, you prepare, practice, then you present.
So you organize yourself.
Yes.
You prepare.
First, the idea.
Okay, you get the idea.
Yes. Organize yourself.
You organize yourself.
Prepare or practice.
Prepare, practice. Then you present.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Oh, let's get interactive. Zion.
I just want to add one thing to what he said. Like, you have to do all your audience analysis as well.
You have to do
your audience analysis. Like,
okay, you have to understand the kind of people you are listening to.
Yeah.
So, which means that you can't talk to church people the same way you talk to people who are at a party, have the celebration. You have to be able to understand the psyche of the people you are speaking to before you can be able to even, speak, to be in sync with them. Okay, now be clear on the occasion. That is the first point we have to know. If you're asked to speak at anywhere, you have to be clear on the occasion. Where are you speaking? Is that a party? Is it a political party event? Is it a church event? Is it a personal development event? If you understand the occasion, if you know, you come to terms where you are speaking, then it gives you a fair idea of how you have to shape the content of your speech. Right? That is the first consideration we have to know. Now, the next thing is to work on the topic that you are given. So, if it happens that wherever you're going to speak to, they have a prescribed topic for you, fair enough. You take the topic and then you prepare on the topic that you're given. Now, preparation comes in you having a fair idea of what you're going to talk about, you researching about the topic, because you can't go and stand anywhere and speak anything at all, knowing that words have the power to make or make. So you have to be mindful of whatever comes out of your mouth. So you have to prepare coherently on the topic that you are given. If you're allowed to select your own topic, then you have to think critically and select a topic that is in sync with occasion, a topic that is in sync with the audience. So that's the second thing you have to do. The first thing is to be clear on the occasion. The next thing is to pick a topic that would interest the audience or topic that they've given you, and you prepare on the topic. I think the third thing you have to consider is to set a goal. What is your goal? What do you want to achieve with your speech? Are you going to use the speech to uplift or to bring people down? What is your goal? It could be anything, but you have to be clear on what you want to use your presentation for. Are we cool? The next thing you have to consider is to keep your audience in mind. You have to understand that when you are speaking to people, you are not speaking for your own sake. You are speaking for whoever is listening to you on the D-Day. So you have to keep your audience in mind. Now, there are two ways. Either you express the speech or you impress. Expression means that, you know, you have gone through the process, preparing your topic, so you are coming to present. Impression means that you are trying as much as possible to impress the audience. In all this, there are three things my time is up? Almost up. Okay. There are three things. Now, you know Obama doesn't write most of his speeches. I think even in 2008, when he was running for his first election, there was a guy, a graduate of Stanford, I think he was 21 years old at the time, who was writing the speeches for, was it 21 or 28? 28 years at the time, who was writing the speech for Obama. But when Obama stands in front of you and he's reading the speech, or he's reciting the speech, or he's giving presentation of the speech, you would think that it was Obama who wrote the speech. He owns the speech. He makes sure the speech is in sync with his own soul. So when he comes to express the speech, he expresses his soul to you. You'll be affected, like you can feel the vibe wherever you are, and wherever you are, you can feel that this is a speech, right? It happens when you make sure you put yourself in the speech, you put your speech in yourself, then you express the speech to whoever you are listening to. That is the last thing you have to do in preparing for a speech. After you have done your research, after you have set your goal, after you are clear on the topic for the day, after you have understood your audience, you have to make sure the speech is in sync with your soul. You have to make sure you put yourself in the speech. You have to make sure you put the speech in yourself. And you have to make sure you're able to use the speech to touch the hearts of those who are listening to you. Are we clear? You put the speech in you, you put yourself in the speech, and you put the speech in the hearts of those who are listening to you. Emotions play a vital role in delivering speeches. How you say it, the gestures you use when you say it, the facial expression, the contour of your eye, all those things are necessary in delivering your speeches. Should I tell the story? Oh, my time is up.
Yes, your time is up, but then I'll give you just 2 minutes. 2 minutes more.
Any questions?
Please, for your questions, hold them for now. When we get to the practical sessions, you can